part of the trip because I do want to see a game, so it will be in season whenever we go. Probably not this year because we just did Italy, but maybe next year. And yeah, I definitely want to work that in, but I don't know. I mean, if it's anything up here, I mean, I might have to buy tickets for a game now for 2 seasons from now. You know, I don't know. That's probably a tough stadium to get a seat in.
I mean, I mean, in an ideal world, if you're going to London, I suppose you ought to try and arrange it for when they're playing a London team. Then you haven't got to go all the way up to Anfield. I mean, then you can stay local, because trying to drive up to Anfield would not be fun.
Because that's about 90 minutes also, right? Or is it a little bit longer?
No, it's longer than that, yeah.
Oh, is
Liverpool from London is probably about 3.5 hours, something like that.
Oh, you know, you're right. Maybe you're right, because I did look into like a bus trip, and I think you're right. I think it said 2.5 to 3 hours. Yeah, probably so. I'd be better off seeing a team closer.
But it depends on how much you want to go to Anfield.
Well, I'd like. I mean, obviously, yeah, I would like to do that. So.
I mean, I get it. I get it. And trying to get tickets for an away game, which for Liverpool in London it would be, those are quite restricted.
Yeah, because they only do like a certain number of seats for away games. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then of course the atmosphere is that much more febrile and hostile. So you don't want to get wrapped.
When I have my Liverpool shirt on, I don't want to be in the non-Liverpool section.
Yeah, quite. I mean, but you don't even want to be walking down certain roads.
The game, true.
In a Liverpool shirt, you do that in the wrong neighborhood, and then it's
to change in the parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, I know you live in Texas, but you don't want to be in the Alamo,
right?
So it's not the place to go. So yeah, I think it would be nice. The romance of Anfield. I mean, it's
I think that.
But apparently, it's amazing.
Yeah, that would be part of the allure for me. Would be to go there. So
yeah.
We're gonna try because we're gonna try. You know, our next trip to Italy is going to include Milan as well, so I can do that. So
from Milan to Minsk.
It's right.
Emmanuel.
By the way, guys, just so you know, if you did send Christmas cards, neither of them have arrived.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Now it's not.
I sent mine about
3 or 4
weeks ago.
Yeah,
because you got yours, and I sent them on the same day.
Yeah. We've had postal strikes here. There are pictures of cages full of letters outside in the rain, outside of these big postal sorting.
I remember you saying that when you mailed them out. Now I did get yours just a day or two before Christmas, so even that took a bit to come in.
Oh, well, I'm glad it got there though.
But it did. Yeah, it did.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's just we've just, as I said, I've not had them. They're just mail is stuffed over here.
So in April, you're going to get a bunch of Christmas cards.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've already sent next year's cards out.
It's funny. Mine stay up year round. You saw them at my house, right?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. We have a beam in my living room, and that just stays up.
I saw them in the background. When you unwrap the speakers, I saw them there.
Yeah.
I took mine down yesterday.
I keep it up year round, which is going to be weird because my wife and I were like, next year, what are we going to do? Because we're going to be... we're hoping that this whole house thing will be done this time next year, like in December, and we'll be moving in. I know. That's what we were.
Well, yeah, I didn't even hear that conversation.
We got the land,
but I know just a build alone is, it's a pretty good process.
Yeah.
So.
That's what I'm shooting for. But like everybody keeps telling me, like, don't have goals. I go, well, you got to have a goal.
You got to have a goal.
Just don't be upset when you don't meet it. It's like
be willing to move the goalpost.
Yeah, well, I am, and that's the good thing. It's not a hurry. It's not one of those like I gotta sell my place to get into this place.
Well, no, it's not like you're homeless waiting on a new place.
No, it's probably the best scenario for everybody. So
right.
But lots going on. So, all right, we ready to just get at it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a hard out, Steve? Do you got
no, I'm all good. I'm not on call. I've got caught possibly tomorrow, but not a definite thing. So probably by about midnight my time. So what's that? We've got about 3 hours. So
I don't know.
Hopefully that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if
hopefully
my
we're-
voice will hold up that long.
Are you kidding, fellas? We'll get to tweak of the week by then.
Well, I know. That's why I texted DJ earlier. It's like some of these listener comments may need to go.
Yeah, well, we can be brief, or I'm going. I say
But
that,
even
but it's
I
me.
think not even this week though. I think going forward, like I think we should honestly. I think we should limit them to things that will generate discussion for us.
Okay.
I think all the just like I love the show. Those are great, but like I don't know. Do we need to read those out every week? You know what I mean? Like. I think if they will generate
Makes me feel
stuff for us
better.
to talk about. Well, it makes us all feel better.
I
but
know,
like,
I know.
no other show that you listen to, like, you know,
We are
jerks
like no
himself
other
off
show,
all
John.
show when they're
No, right. No, I
you
know.
know.
Because no other show gets them. It's only
Well,
us.
that's true. That's true.
That's
I don't know.
just
It's
it.
just my 2 cents. Like I think that we're getting so many every week now that we're 2 hours into the show before we get past listener comments.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
It's just like then we're all rushing to go through the stuff that we want.
What
to
the
get
show's
to.
supposed to be about.
Right.
It's like, hey, the sights, the sounds, the scenes, and we're gonna pat ourselves on the back for an hour and a half.
Right, for an hour and a half.
Hey, I just don't want to short anybody.
I understand,
But
I don't think they go into it expecting everything to be read on air.
I don't know. I don't know. Hey, look at me. What do I know? I don't know. I'm like, oh, all right.
Well, I guess stop doing it, and we'll see if they keep commenting. If they stop, then we know.
That's a good. So you know what, John? Why don't I'll put them in? You take them out. If you see it in it, not today, not this week, because I've gone through this. But why don't we do that? Because you guys have access to everything, and just say,
we see 'em
do
all.
we need that one? You know, like what's the discussion on that? And if I have one, I'll tell you. You know, we can have it because I feel exactly the same way, to be honest with you. And it's, but some of them, and here's the funny thing is like some of these are older, but they do spark a discussion. But when I first get them. And now we're here. I'm like, what was the discussion I wanted to? I forget what my
That's the whole
point was
thing.
going to be too.
But we're 3 weeks out. We're not usually 3 weeks away from
Right.
comments. You know, usually it's a week at a time. But yeah, if they're gonna if it's gonna be a conversation about Christmas Eve, like we don't need to have that now.
Right. Yeah, that's
know?
true. But no, like going through these, I know my comments on a lot of these. I like the first one, Blue Wave. I mean, I can go through the pretty much fantastic. They all
I
have
didn't
pretty
even read
much
through them all.
questions.
I just saw them all, you know,
I
at the
know.
bottom of the page.
Well, I read them all and I try to reply to everybody except for the YouTubes. I just like them on YouTube, but then I try to, yeah. Let's see. All right. So, well, let's see.
Well, I think for today, just leave it as is. You've already
Okay.
culled some of them out, so we don't need to trim any more now.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Okay.
I just don't know. Like I said, I think people would like to hear more of what we want to talk about as opposed to
The sights,
just,
the sounds, and the scenes.
an hour of listener comments.
So, all right. Carl, well, my listener comments are always worthless, so you can leave me out.
Oh, I didn't know we were in the green room.
Oh,
I guess
we
I
are,
told
we
you.
are.
Oh,
No.
yeah, that's
Oh,
public
yeah.
knowledge. That's it.
This
You are
is
public enemy
live
number
in the
one.
green
I
room,
guess,
John.
yeah. I'm cursing and telling people their comments aren't worth shit, and you know. Thought this was all private.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's all live.
All live.
I stand by it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I do, too. Hey, well, we're going to get to that one, too. And that's why I said Carl's in here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got to get to just a brief thing on that. Clearly we'll get to it. Email from Carl, delete. Yeah, I don't delete them, Carl, but there are a lot of them. Yeah, you guys don't even get them all.
Great toilet paper, though.
No.
They're really good for toilet paper.
If I printed them, we'd
If you
lose a
print 'em,
forest.
They're soft, strong, and thoroughly absorbent.
Oh, jeez. This is going to be a tough show.
Yeah, I did. You still got that cold.
This is new. This is a new version.
Remember, you've got your mute button there, your mute mic button if you need to.
Yeah.
It works quite well. It seemed to work quite well last time,
What's that?
actually.
It did, because I used it a bunch of times.
Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
yeah, it's
throughout
quite
the
good.
show.
Can you hear
So
me
if you
now?
need to just do it quickly, you can do that. And
That
no
just
one
mutes
knows.
you guys. I have to actually mute here because my mic, like when I do this, you can't hear me, right?
Yeah, yeah, you
muted,
can't hear
yeah.
now. Yeah.
You couldn't hear me then?
No.
Nope.
Right. But it didn't go to you, but it still goes live. It's still out going out
Oh,
through the
is it?
recording.
Oh, okay.
So I
Oh,
actually have to use this one over
Yours
here.
doesn't work quite the same as ours.
Yeah,
does.
yours is broadcasting to me. I'm not. That's just me
Oh,
broadcasting
see.
to you. So I can if I order. But that's
Okay.
yeah, I could do that. I know you were doing it. You guys were both doing a great job last time we recorded. I saw you like.
It just sounds better, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Yeah, it
kind
does.
Especially if
So
you're doing it a lot.
professional.
And my throat was really dry last time, and I remember thinking, oh god, it must sound really bad. But when you mute it, it's great because
Yeah.
those listening on
know.
to the podcast don't even know it's happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh, VJ's in. Happy New Year, VJ. He says Happy New Year to all. Happy New Year, Eric. Happy New Year. What's the movie you're most excited about in 2023? Well, we're in the green room. We
All of them.
All of them. I don't actually.
Malignant 2.
I don't know. I honestly, I have no idea what. Somebody would have to tell me
Mission
what's coming.
Impossible?
What's that?
Yeah,
Mission
Ant-Man.
Impossible, probably.
Yeah, Dead
I'm
Reckoning,
not
surely
really.
part 1.
Ant-Man to me is like, I'm excited for it, but I've never been a huge Ant-Man fan of that character since in the MCU, anyways.
Well, I mean, he's not the best, but they're fun movies, and this one
Yeah.
is setting up a bunch of Kang stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it should be good.
I'm looking forward to it. I really liked the first one, and I enjoyed the second one, but I've only watched it once. And
Yeah.
I need to see. I've got the 4K disc. I need to watch it again because I really enjoyed it. I loved all the toy
They're
car.
super fun. Yeah. they're
Yeah.
super
The
fun.
the Matchbox toy car, Hot Wheels cars was such an inspired move. It was
Yeah.
great. So I need to, I need to rewatch.
But yeah,
it.
I would actually need a list of them. I can't think of what's coming out.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not that excited about it because if I can't think of it.
Right. Well,
I must not be.
VJ said Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I'm like, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I
Gotta be,
forgot.
surely.
It's been. I mean, how many movies have been moved? Right, and like
Oh, a
you're like,
bunch,
this
yeah.
when's coming? What? I mean, we've got. I'm not. I'm 100% honest here. I am not looking forward to Shazam 2 at all. I don't know why.
really?
Well, now that we
I
know
know, I
it's
am.
been, it's been broken in terms of its.
Well, it's kind of
visibility
yeah,
before
it's
it
kind
even
of been
comes out.
neutered. Yeah.
Same with the
because-
Flash.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
These films are gone before they've arrived.
I
Now,
was
that
looking for
doesn't
a reason
mean-
not to see the Flash anyways, and so now I probably won't even bother.
But that doesn't mean I won't love like the home theater experience of it, and I won't play the movie to to hear the sight, sounds, and scenes. But I'm just not like, oh, I can't wait to go and see that. Like, it just that one is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking forward to Black Adam, and I still enjoyed that. I've seen it a couple of times since I had it at home, and I'm really enjoying it. But you're right, Steve. It's like I didn't even think of that until you just said it. But it's like everything that's going on with the now DCU, it's so shattered that it's like people love shared universes, and then when you shatter yours, there's gonna be a downswing there, I think, and that kind of hurts. But
Well, especially if you do it before release.
right.
You've got Aquaman.
Well,
2,
because
which is
you've
filmed.
ruined 3 movies
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, exactly. Aquaman 2's been chopped and changed and messed about with post-production because of the Amber Heard and all that stuff. And then the Flash, of course, has been massively chopped and changed and messed around with.
Yeah.
Whole entire storylines have gone from that, and cameos that they'd announced. And then the same's happening with Shazam 2. That's been chopped and edited and messed about with. So yeah, I feel a bit sorry for DC at the moment. They're having a bit of a nightmare until they've got something to properly announce.
yeah,
In terms of going forward, everything is removing at the moment, isn't it? There is
Yeah.
no Henry Cavill.
Supposed to
You're
be
not
coming
gonna
this
get a Black
week,
Adam
actually.
suit. Yeah,
I heard
James
something
Gunn
around the
mentioned it,
5th or
didn't
the
he?
6th. They're supposed to do some initial announcements. So,
Yeah, that's what they need. I
They're
think.
good
They
at
need a- they need a
those.
win.
well, you're right. They're good at announcing things. They're just not good at actually making them
No,
putting them out.
their track record has been like they're just going to pull it's like they can't figure out what they want to do, so they keep doing something and then trying again and trying again. And it's like if you
But I think that's that's the whole James Gunn of it, though. Like I think that's his reason for being
continuity.
You know, he's the Kevin Feige of the whole thing, and it should be coherent going forward.
Yeah.
Unless the first 2 movies he does come out and they bomb and he gets fired or whatever. Yeah.
I got two. I got 2 more, and VJ nailed it. But before that, Blue Wave said he's most excited for The Last of Us on HBO Max. The game was incredible.
Yep.
I thought the trailer looked good. I never played the game, but VJ has another one that you're like, oh yeah, that's this year, and I cannot wait. Oppenheimer.
Oh yeah.
In July. I am so looking forward.
I love the cast.
Christopher Nolan?
I love the cast of it. I'm not sure the subject of it is going to be.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
I still haven't quite forgiven him for Tenet. I just
my God.
It's a little bit. We have a phrase here. Forgive me, guys. It's a bit up its own arse.
Yeah.
And I think that Tenet's it's a little bit too hoity-toity. It's too, it's art for art's
I'll be honest
sake.
with you.
I know I'm going to upset you with that, Deej. All right, but
I'm
that's
too
what art
stupid
is.
for it.
Right.
I'm just not smart enough for it. I've only seen it once. I didn't understand it, and I didn't like it enough to go back and try to watch it and understand it more. You know,
I've got the disc. I've got the 4K disc. I've seen it once here. I did that because of that IMAX problem we talked about last time. I didn't go to the cinema to see it. And I think I stayed with it for most of it, but only by really concentrating, which isn't fun then, is it? If you've got to pay so much attention,
right?
So I haven't quite forgiven him for that, and I'm hoping Oppenheimer is great. I hope that it is, but it's not what I'm particularly looking forward to. I'll have Dead Reckoning over that. The Last of Us, absolutely. And I have played that game through. They just reissued it for the PS5, so I've just completed it again only about a month ago. So I don't know about Oppenheimer.
But why are you comparing Oppenheimer to Tenet, which would be like that's an artsy movie? It literally is. The writing is artsy. I mean, it's not factual, right? But look at what he did with Dunkirk, and the way he told that story, and you had the 3 different versions coming. An artful way of telling a piece of history that as far as home theater goes is a reference disc, right? So it hit all things for us, right? That's where I'm expecting Oppenheimer to go.
Yeah, I hope it does, and it may well do. I mean, here's me sort of sounding a note of caution. When all I've seen is a couple of trailers which don't give away any of the story in reality,
right?
And it may be fantastic, but I think he sometimes, in my opinion, falls into the trap of art for art's sake, and I think there's a little bit of that in Interstellar. I think there's a little bit of that in Dunkirk as well. Because I think that's quite a straightforward story that could have been told narratively, and it wouldn't have taken anything away from the power of what was being done. And then you get to Tenet, which just kind of was the ultimate arc of that. So I'm hoping it's going to be great. I've got my fingers crossed. Every day is Christmas Eve.
Right.
All this
one,
stuff.
they can't all be gems. And 2, if everybody just made them straightforward, they'd be called documentaries, and we'd be bored out of our minds.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's not on that wouldn't be in my top 5 of movies this year.
I'm hoping it is. I mean, as far as home theater goes, that has a very good chance of being in the top 5.
In terms of anticipation, I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
It yet, but
it's big for me.
It wouldn't be in my top 5 for movies I've got to see.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, wait till I see it, and I'll tell you, you gotta see it.
Yeah.
We got a big one to talk about today. Once we get into the show, this Division.
Have I got
maybe
out my opinion on that as well? Yeah, I know. I might have.
I know.
But to be fair, it's more about the technology than the film. That's the reality.
Right. Yeah, that's right
more
too.
About how it was displayed than the movie itself. Because I think I may be being unfair on the movie, and I need to see it again, but only in the normal format.
Yep. All right.
Anyway, we'll go through that.
Let's see. All right. We ready to go?
Yeah.
I forget how we even start these damn things.
He'll come back to you. It's like riding a bike.
Yeah. I hope I don't fall off again. You see me. Woo. All right.
Get another concussion.
Yeah.
It's the dog to be wary of. Don't worry about the bike.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We are recording. We're streaming. We got
All right.
plenty of Blue Wave. Camera looks good. Whatever tweaks you did seemed to be for the better. Blue Wave talking about my camera. I don't know what I did. I got a makeup job. I got a makeup woman now. Really? Because she's not that good. All right. Let's hit it.
We are Brightside Home Theater.
Hey, home theater nerds, welcome back to the Brightside Home Theater Podcast. The home theater podcast, it's all about the experiences, the sights,
The sounds.
The scenes.
There we go. You guys are in wrong order today, so it's like the sights were over here, the sounds were over here, but hey, nothing like a good pan, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We had comments on that. Maybe we'll get to it in comments. We got plenty, right? We got plenty of comments this week.
We do.
People are excited. The green room's all lit up, packed with people. We've had a great conversation with them there before we got going here. And we've been off for a couple weeks. So, hey, I guess, absence makes the heart grow fonder, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so.
I don't know.
What is that telling us?
I go away again. We'll get to it in a second, but we had yet another great month with Patreon, and the money poured in as soon as we went away.
As soon as we stopped recording.
So I think we're our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
No. So how was everybody's holiday, Christmas, all that jazz?
Really good. Really good.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks. It was nice and social when it needed to be, and on call was quiet when I wanted it to be. So that was good news as well.
Good.
So very pleasant, very pleasant.
Nice.
How about yours, Deej?
Good. Very quiet. I tried to keep it quiet anyways. And like less time in the theater, more time with the wife, to the point that, I work and I need good weather, and I took the week after Christmas off, and it was a 60-degree sunny day.
It was beautiful, yeah.
And I was like, I'm looking at Jen, and I'm like, I don't know. And she goes, just go. You want to go. I said, I know, but the money I made today, come July, is that going to mean anything to me? I go, and I looked at her. I go, I just need somebody to tell me not to go. She goes, Don't go. Stay with me. Okay. That's all I need. So.
You need some romantic music if you're going to start saying things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's beautiful.
I know.
Mills and Boone.
I'm trying to learn how to take time off, and but when you only work when it's night, now it's raining. I'm supposed to go back to work this week, and it's all crappy weather. So
Right. You can't work.
But at the end of the day, I will work when I can. So
Yeah.
So yeah, I did a lot of that. I did, the movies that we're going to talk about. Let's get to that. John, what do you got coming up when we get to our experiences later? You got a nice list here.
Got a pretty good list. The Northman, 4K disc.
Mm-hmm.
Season 3 of Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime. Glass Onion, Pinocchio, and then the Hobbit, Lord of the Rings trilogies, and Game of Thrones.
Both the full trilogies?
Both the full trilogies.
Good.
We did one a day.
Good
for
for
6
you.
straight days. Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, Steve.
Okay. Right. So I've got Wind River on Blu-ray, Emancipation on Apple TV Plus. I've got G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes, which I know you were saying last time you were keen to hear.
I can't wait to hear that. Yeah.
I've got Amistad, a little film called Avatar: The Way of Water. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
Yeah.
Violent Night, which is a screener. Glass Onion on Netflix. Tropic Thunder on 4K disc. Smile on 4K disc. Oh, John, we need to discuss that. Then, oh yes, and then last but very much least, Highlander and 4K disc as well.
Very much least.
Very much
Oh,
least.
yes.
So tell us how you felt about that one.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
dear.
Thank you, everybody. We'll be back next week with more. What was the one I was going to mention here that I was going to say? What's a screener? Steve?
I've got to be a little bit careful. It's nothing illegal, but it's something that shouldn't be necessarily distributed. It's a disc for awards consideration.
Oh,
So they're
okay.
given so that it's called screener discs. So and I was very fortunate enough to be able to get my hands on one, so I was able to watch it.
Oh, okay.
That's all that is.
Oh,
so they give them out to
Yeah.
It's industry
Academy
people.
members
Yeah.
and BAFTA members over here, the British Academy of Film and Televisual Arts. So they give them out to those, and if you're well connected, and luckily on this particular occasion I was, you can watch them.
Okay. Not to go down the rabbit hole, but Violent Night's up for awards.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't mean it'll get them. They put them up for consideration, but it doesn't mean it'll get them.
Yeah.
And
Although,
up for
frankly,
picture of the year. Nope.
No, I loved it.
Well, let's
We'll
not
talk
go
about it
down that
later.
rabbit hole because it's on my list too. So,
Yeah.
you guys heard I watched Die Hard again.
I-
Watched that one with my son. I also saw Avatar: The Way of Water. I saw it twice, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But then this is my wife and I are trying to revisit the old, that I've said for a while I haven't seen a lot of animation. And so we did the Polar Express. We did How to Train Your Dragon. I'll talk about that. We wanted to do more, but we just didn't get to it. But we definitely, and I can't wait to hear about Pinocchio from John, because that was one of the ones that we were talking about. And we also, I did Violent Night. I was going to watch that with my wife, and glad I didn't. So then also I did first 2 episodes of Jack Ryan, so I can talk about that with John as well. And that was about it in my room. But looking forward to more animation. Really am. That went well. So, all right.
Just before we move on, your screen is frozen for me. I don't know if it has for you, John. Is it frozen? Is DJ's screen frozen for you? Yeah.
No,
No,
I
it's
still
frozen
have
for
it.
me. Oh, it's okay. Must
We're
just be
good.
my feet. That's okay.
Yep.
Mine's okay though, is it? You guys can
Yep.
see and hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep.
You're good.
No worries.
Yep.
It happens to me all the time on mine. Half the time I'm blacked out. I can't even see anything.
Yeah. No, everything's good on on our sides here. The recording's going good, stream's going good, everybody's looking good. All right, before we get to tweak of the week, let's get to the donations situation here. So last month, Patreon stayed pretty stable for the month. But towards the end of the month, obviously being the holidays, thank you to everybody. But here we go. Danny Speakers bought us a $10 box of popcorn. John Zabrinsky, Johnny Speakers, bought us a $25 box of popcorn. Mike Schramm bought us a $25 box of popcorn. With everybody else that month that bought us up until then, those are the newest ones, that puts us at $240 for the month, our biggest month yet. It was actually bigger. It has gotten bigger since I was on with SVS, and I told them we were at 207. So now we'll be donating 107. We donated $120, our largest amount yet, to Washington Performing Arts. So thank you to everybody. I really appreciate it. I understand it's the holidays and everybody like that. But what a great cause, Washington Performing Arts, and everybody reaching out to me and to us over the holidays. It was amazing. Just the thanks for doing the podcast and the happy holidays and everything. It was it gets pretty emotional at times when that many people reach out to you and you're like,
Right.
and I'm at a holiday party and I'm like, leave me alone. I'm like, I gotta know. So, yeah. And,
now, has
ahead.
it been sorted out yet though, DJ, when the, if anybody from the Washington Performing Arts hits it big, do we have our premiere tickets lined up? Are we
Yes.
going to be contacted about this?
yes, as long as you have your tux.
There you go.
I'm sure I can find one.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Yep. if any of those videos made it out from New Year's, the party I was at, you'll know I'm never going to be in Washington Performing Arts. So just to let you know.
You've been karaokeing.
No, it was
neither.
more of, air guitar, screaming at the top of your lungs.
I saw the tweets and the texts, though, so if that was any indication.
When you wake up the next morning and you have to look at your phone history to make sure you're still allowed on social media, it was a good night.
I'm going to have to go looking for those videos now.
I know.
No, my wife has them all. I had to ask her. New Year's, I had to ask her.
I know how to get in touch with your wife.
I know. And she has the videos, and I asked her the next day, I'm like, what did I do? She goes, you had so much fun. She was so happy for me. Yeah. She goes, you never have fun like that. You're always the responsible one. Not last night. I was like, okay.
I had a big Guitar Hero New Year's Eve about 5 years ago myself.
Oh, yeah?
I'm still living that one down.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's,
Is there an Air Guitar Anonymous group that any of you can attend?
Oh, speaking of that, no, but I did see the text to you guys.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, judging by that.
Yes.
I just remembered that.
You sort of lost the ability to type.
Right.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah. I was. Yeah. I couldn't walk either. But we didn't go anywhere. I was at my neighbor's house, which is across the street. So we were all safe, and that's why I was able to be irresponsible.
Right.
But yeah, I saw the text to you guys later, and it's like I said. I mean, one of them was John explained to Steve that I like to drink. Next text, Steve. DJ likes to drink.
Yes. I think it was what was the happy Coo Newts.
Yeah, I don't know what.
I don't know what
up now, but
I was even looking at my keyboard trying to figure out what I might have been trying to say.
Like, yeah.
I think I was trying to say guys, Happy New Year, guys, but like it was like K-U-T whatever, Coops or whatever, and I'm like, the G and the C aren't even close, so I don't know what I was doing, but yeah. So
you gave it to the dog to send the text at one point. The dog's just,
yeah.
Well, just to let you know, my wife was very proud of me, which is kind of sad. She's like, you never do that. It was so fun to watch. Thanks. Glad I could entertain.
Yeah.
But my wife was proud of me, Your Honor.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's one of the best plea and mitigation I've heard.
Yeah. Okay, you can go.
Right.
Let's see. Okay, John, would you like to read the Patreon supporter of the week?
Sure. Peter Smith, supporter for 4 months.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Peter. And Steve, how about you read this big one? Because if you go ahead.
About Dan Carpenter?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. So Dan Carpenter doubled his Patreon support for January. So we are starting the year off on a very high note. So, yeah, thanks, Dan. That's Danny Speakers, isn't it?
That's Danny Speakers, who also bought us a $10 box of popcorn earlier in the month, or last month, I should say. But, yeah, I just got that Dan Carpenter. He just doubled it earlier, and he's like, I'm like, thank you, everybody. Thank you for the support. Thank you to people that are continuing to support. And it doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be monetary, but it means a lot because we're growing. Like you heard the SVS guys talk about. We're starting small, but when John and I first said this, we had, what was it, $53, John? We were getting a month.
Yeah.
And now
$30, I think it really in the very beginning.
Yeah, so. And now we're up over $240 a month for that month, and that comes from the boxes of popcorn. That comes from Patreon and stuff like that. And the more we do, I just think it's great. It's a 50-50. 50% goes to the charity, and but yeah, and the other support is just shouting us out. Shout us out to everybody and. That's how this podcast will grow, and that's how I think you can grow home theater too. Not just our podcast, but any home theater podcast. But we're the ones trying to talk about the fun stuff, the sights, the sounds, the scenes. There's plenty out there, like AV Rent HD guys that'll help you get your rooms going. Once it's going, shout out that we're the ones to listen to, and we really appreciate that. So, all right. Do you guys have any tweaks? Nobody wrote anything down except for me. So, tweaks of the week.
I don't have any tweaks. I'm having a bit of a dilemma with my last tweak, though.
Uh-oh.
Was the mini DSP. So
what happened?
Well, so here's the thing. For those that don't know, I have large cylinder down-firing subs, right? And they're on a hardwood floor. And apparently now they like to hop around the room when I'm watching certain content. So they're like moving so far away from the wall that they're unplugging themselves.
Wow. You got to get the isolation feet.
They have isolation feet built in.
Oh, the SVS sells isolation feet.
I know, but they have. I know. I bought some from my PB12, but
okay.
These come with them already. So now I'm looking at buying some like free weight plates that are round that I'm gonna lay on the top of them. Big 25-pound jobs or something, so they don't move. But yeah, I mean, it's not it's nothing wrong with the DSP, but now they seem to be getting so much more active that they're just bouncing around the living room. So,
wow.
Yeah. But no, they have isolation feet on them already. So I think it's just the fact that it's a hardwood floor, so there's no like absorption from any kind of carpet or anything. And they're just like I said, they're always like, when I stop watching a movie, they're 5 feet away from where they started.
Oh no!
So.
Wow.
Would some rubber mats under there not help,
Well,
John?
I thought about maybe trying to put some mats or carpets under it, but then I'm thinking it might mess up the calibration, and I don't want to pay to do that all over again. So
because I've got a hardwood floor in my gym at home, and the rowing machine used to move, using that, and put down these rubber mat, the gym floor.
I did think about putting some like gym mat squares underneath them, but I wasn't sure if it would change the way they.
Not base. I don't think it would with base.
I don't know if it would or not, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think it would with base, because the amount of absorption you need to absorb a bass frequency, because it's so big, is, and what I mean by big is long, right? And it's like if you put like even a mat like a gym mat.
They sell those squares. They sell the squares. I was thinking about buying 2 squares and putting them underneath.
Right. Most sound bounces off of those. So not a lot of bass is going to go into that. I don't think it would ruin.
I wasn't sure if it, honestly, I wasn't sure if it would change it to the point where I had to pay to have it recalibrated.
I'd be more. I don't think that would even help that much, though. If they're just
I'm
moving
not sure
on,
if it would either.
Yeah, it's a cheap way to find out, but I don't know if it would really help, because
I was really thinking that I'm going to put some kind of weight on the top of them to keep them from moving around.
I'd be concerned with that weight now making a noise and vibrating off the top and falling onto your floor.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, the thing with the gym mats is that you can cut those to measure, so you could literally just cut them so aesthetically you'd barely know they were there.
Them. Right.
But as I said, because the points will sink into them, it shouldn't then move about as much. That's the whole point of them. It's to stop equipment moving. But yeah, as Deej said, it's a cheap way of finding out.
I got one for you, John, that you're probably going to laugh at.
What's that?
Super clear.
Close. I have a 2-way tape here that I use that's like almost impossible to get up off.
I'm just wondering. Yeah, but I'm worried about my floor.
Nope, it will come up. It's just hard. It doesn't damage what it's on. I've used them on my hardwood floor to hold a carpet down, and it stays. They don't move. Like, to get the carpet back up, you really have to. I'll send you the link for it. And
it's actually
you use
something
a tiny little 1-inch piece under each foot. You put that down there, it will not. I'm telling you, it will not move. I'd be shocked if it moved off.
I definitely need to address it, because I don't want them. Like, they really shouldn't be moving around. Because, like I said, they got to the point where they kind of unplugged themselves, and I watched half of a movie without realizing that they weren't even plugged in. And I was like, man, I'm not hearing anything out of these
That's like my
subwoofers.
Die Hard episode a couple years ago with Joe.
And I got up and I looked at them and I was like, well, that's why, because they're not plugged in anymore. They moved too far away. So
That's
sort of
funny.
were they on the couch next to you, sort of
Yeah.
cuddling into them?
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, 5 feet's an exaggeration, but they move to the point, like, because all my cables are tied. So if they move 6-8 inches away, they unplug because the cord doesn't go that far.
Right.
So I either can.
He's got a tether
Free up
for
the
them.
cord.
He's got like a
Well, I can free
lasso
the
around
cord
him and
up.
tether it to the wall.
Yeah.
Little
Bungee
shorter
cord
than
him
the
back to the
cables.
wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just funny. Like, it's just not
That
something
is.
I considered happening at all.
No.
But it wasn't doing it before. So
No.
it's definitely a result of the calibration,
Yeah.
with the DSP. It must just be pushing so much more through
Air.
it, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, if they're down firing, it's probably
Right.
that's the thing is the air. It's actually lifting it off the ground. Like boop, 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 boop.
Because I kind of feel like if they were on carpet, it wouldn't happen as much either. But I don't
There's
know.
more
That might not even
friction.
be true.
Yeah, there's more. It's harder for it to move. Yeah, that makes sense. And that's why I'm saying if you just gave it a little bit of tactile with that two-way tape, that
Yeah.
it's.
Well,
I
send
mean,
it to me. I'll
yeah.
try it. I'll try anything
It's good
because
stuff.
I need to figure it out.
Yeah.
But
Tape down your subwoofers.
I just don't
people.
want to, like I said, I just don't want to mess up my wood flooring. Like if I
Yeah,
have to
it
take
won't.
It up,
It won't.
You know?
I can almost guarantee. I don't know what your flooring's made out of, but it's we've used it on both. Like I have a real wood flooring in my living room, and then I have the like Pergo wood flooring in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And it hasn't damaged either. I've pulled it up from both of them.
Okay.
And, yeah. Just
I'll
when
give
we
it a try.
changed the carpets out. So. I had
Be sure
an.
to have the front door closed, John, so they don't go out and down the road.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Because if they wander into traffic, that's going to be the end of those.
Yeah.
That's going to be the end of them.
Yeah.
That's a weird insurance claim. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
an
Yeah,
accident
like-
with a subwoofer.
I can see you putting up child gates,
Yeah.
and all this stuff to keep them in.
Yeah.
All right. Mine it was an interesting one that I messed around with. So in my theater, if you've seen pictures of my theater, I have 3 seats in my theater, and I want that center seat for myself. I want to be sitting in the middle. Well, when I watch a movie with somebody, they don't necessarily have the best viewing and listening position, so they're off to one side. But this came about because of the new theater that I'm building is going to be slightly wider, and I always wanted 5 across, 3 or 5, so that I would always have that middle seat.
Right.
But my room's not going to be that big, and I'm tired of trying to finagle a way to get to 5 seats because one, that's more money. It's a bigger room. Everything that costs a lot of. Your costs go up exponentially, right? So I'm like, how can I stay at a maximum of 4? And so I just said, when Jen and I were in there this past week and a half or so, I'm like, let's slide the 3 over and put that armrest in the middle. So then I sit like this to get myself centered. It was fantastic. Now I'm like, I think 4 is the way to go. I'm like, I kind of like this. And it's like, yes, if I sit upright in the seat, I'm slightly off from my screen. But if I really want to have that dead center position, I can do this. The other thing I came up with, and it goes along the lines with your subwoofer issue, John, is that I'm like, I'm going to hardwood underneath my seats in the new theater. If I really want that center position, slide the whole thing that foot it takes and put me into, because that's all it is. I measured that out too. I'm like, it's only to move that arm, it's like a foot to put everything off. Either the armrest is centered or I am. So I'm like, I could just slide this over like this, and when people come in, you just slide it back to the 4, whatever. But it was just a fun little tweak that got me. I'm like, and even in my room now with the off-centered like that, everything sounds great. My wife liked the movies better. She's like, because she wasn't as close to the wall, as close to that channel, and it was just more engaging for her. So
Should
it
do
was
like
fun.
a little love seat with that has an armrest that comes down. That way, when you watch with your wife, you could actually kind of cuddle a little bit.
I
get
don't
to the
want
center.
that. I can't have
Well,
that.
romance, guys. This is
Your
the
wife
romance
might want
episode.
that.
I know. What's
But,
this?
what I'm
The
saying, that
sights,
way
the
you can
sounds,
kinda-
the scenes. We're gonna have to add one in.
romance.
The cuddling.
Or you could put the armrest up and slide into the middle of the love seat.
Yep.
And there you go.
I was thinking sort of you'd have the handle up until if you're having a fight and an argument, you're not talking.
And then you just put
that's
it
when the
down.
armrest goes
That's
down.
it.
Yeah, that's it.
And then the hammer comes down right there. Bam. That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Come on. Finish
Make it
watching
like
Violent
a
Night.
clapperboard.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I thought that was an interesting one, especially, and I think I wrote that in there before Nick was on and we were talking furniture. Did you guys hear that one in the SVS podcast?
I haven't heard it yet.
So at the end of that podcast, we talk about his theater that he had just finished probably within the last month or so. And one of the things he goes, I don't know if I should mention this, but I really want to mention this. And it was about a piece of furniture, theater furniture. And it was his, like the table that he was using to hold all his gear. And it was a higher end piece of equipment or table furniture. And it was really nice. I could see it on the stream. He leans over a little bit. I think you can see it. But it's a really nice piece of furniture. And it was like, we were laughing because he was kind of geeking out about it. And I'm like, why not? That's home theater. That's part of the fun, right? And it's like, that's part of the experience. You have somebody in your house and you want to show it off. And that's what I was saying about like our theater racks. Like, Steve, we go into your room, into your closet, and your theater rack, I asked you like a year and a half ago or so, where did you get that? But we love that stuff. So we need more furniture talk around here. That's the next part of the experience we got to add to this.
Yeah. The next segment.
Sounds, scenes, cuddles, furniture.
Yep.
Right.
Furniture.
Anyone keeping a record of this?
Yes, exactly.
I'll do a list.
Yeah.
The
Mildred,
intro
the
will be longer than
stenographer,
the
she's
show.
over here in the corner. She's got it all.
All right.
Let the record show.
There we go. All right. All right, that's tweak of the week. Steve, you're all set, right? You didn't try to electrocute yourself or anything like that, right? No.
I
Change the
keeping a
batteries in a
healthy
remote.
distance.
Nothing.
Yo, don't be silly. That's crazy. I'd have to get someone in for that.
It's crazy.
Yeah, don't be crazy. Yeah, honestly, I live in perpetual fear that I'll have to actually tweak something. I try to avoid it.
Oh, that's great. I love it. All right, let's get to mailbag. The listener experiences. Let's see. I'll take the first one from Blue Wave. Speaking of audiophiles, this comes from the Brent Butterworth and Audiophiles versus Home Theater Enthusiast podcast episode. Blue Wave says, speaking of audiophiles, I'm surprised more isolated movie soundtracks and scores aren't included on more 4K discs in Dolby Atmos or DTS-X. A lot of DVDs had them in 5.1. Why not 4K discs? I thought this was a good question. I don't know why. Maybe because, this is my best guess. Maybe because when they did it with DVDs, there wasn't a lot of talk about it. Brightside Home Theater didn't exist back then. There wasn't a lot of call for it. So they just, when they did away with it, might be the first comment they got about it. Right? Guys.
But also, presumably, would they have to remix it for Dolby Atmos and DTS-X? And if you think that 4K is discs are a niche of a niche of a niche format anyway, I wonder whether they feel there is the demand or the money is there to remix them that way. Because presumably you can't just remove the audio of the dialogue. You'd have to remix the track. And I wonder if that's an issue as well. But I mean, I don't know, but I wonder if that's a problem.
Could be. The only thing I would consider close to that is the flip of it. And that's what happened with Gravity, where they took out the soundtrack altogether. And it was just like, you can actually watch that movie with no soundtrack, no score, right? And it's just the isolation of sound in space, like all you hear is them and nothing else. So I don't know. Maybe, maybe there's it's interesting. Maybe there just wasn't a call for it. So, all right, Steve, you want to take the next one?
This one is BJ Horton. Looks like a Twitter comment. And this is saying, at Brightside HT, wanted to let you and any listeners know that I use all. Now, is this Wise or Whiz products?
Wise.
W-Y-Z-E. Otherwise, it sounds like if you say I've got to take a whiz, that's a very different thing, isn't it?
Well, no, but that's why I have this in here. He wasn't the only one, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I wanted to let you and any listeners know that I use all Wyze products, several cameras, light strip, and most importantly, almost every light in my home. I have a mesh network, and I've noticed no network issues as a result of all the Wi-Fi bulbs. And as I said, that's BJ Horton. And this, I think, is following on from our conversation about Philips Hue and the Wyze bulbs and the drain that we feared they may have on the Wi-Fi network, because they're all individually connected, aren't they?
Correct. And that was when I was looking, and that's what it's funny. He wasn't the only one to say this. I had a few people write in and say they use the Wyze system and they kept spelling it out. And I'm like, I know, I wanted to say like, I know, I use Wiz, and it's Hue Wiz bulbs, W-I-Z. And there's an app for it. I can show you the app, and it says, whoops, that's not it. It's at W-I-Z, and if you see it right there on the camera, W-I-Z, that's the app. It's probably out of focus a little bit. But yeah, Wiz, and that was, they said, one of the drawbacks. I don't know if that's unique to the Wiz bulbs or anybody but anytime you put a bunch of stuff onto your network, the more draw, the harder it is for that network. And that's why Hue, I think the standard Hue bulbs it's all encompassing, and they do all the work, so your network doesn't have to. Maybe Wyze is a little bit more efficient than Wiz, I don't know, but yeah, and it also depends on your network too. Like if you only have so much in your house, it doesn't really, say you have I don't have that big of a house either, so it probably wouldn't be that bad of a draw. But if you have a huge house with like 20 rooms, you probably want to go Hue direction, a standard Hue. But if you're just like me and I have like 8 rooms or 7 rooms, who cares? So, but yeah, lots of comments on that. So, all right, John, the next one, another Blue Wave.
Okay, yeah, Blue Wave. This is a YouTube comment referring to the top 10 must-own discs episode. It says, fantastic show, guys. I wanted to ask you guys something. It seems like more and more streaming services are trying to introduce ads, i.e. Disney Plus. I assume this does is push me more towards physical media. Do you think if this trend continues across all streaming platforms that this will have a negative effect on the subscriber base? Do you think this would drive more people like myself to double down on physical media? I don't think so personally, because the ad-supported tiers from most of these streaming services are at a lesser cost than what most people are already paying. It's an option to pay less and watch ads. So if you're already paying $15, you won't do anything differently. But you now have the option to pay $6.99 and get ads. So I think if anything, it would increase the subscriber numbers. That's what they're hoping for anyway.
Right.
Now, if that became the only option, then yes, it would push me away from certain streaming services. But I, from what I understand, most of these are lesser tiers from what most people are already subscribed to. So
right. The only other caveat to that is I would say, like, maybe I've noticed that some things that I'm paying for ad-free, like, say, HBO Max, there's no ads. Right. But then I go to start a show, and I get, like, 3 ads before the show starts. It's right. Trailers, right?
It's trailers, but you can usually
skip. Right. And that's I was going to say that.
You can't do with ads. Yeah.
And the other thing that I think that would not what the streamers are all doing, and it's gonna make it hard for us to just go to physical, is the streamers are only putting it out on streams.
Right.
There's a lot of their content is, you can't get anywhere else, right? It's like, I mean, Disney's one of the few that you can get most of their stuff elsewhere, but they're starting to build their exclusive Disney Plus library.
Right, but most of the things that have been debuted on Disney Plus, you can't get on physical media.
Now, right? They're building
Now.
their library.
It's
right.
their theatrical movies. You can still buy most of them, but you still can't run out and buy Hawkeye or WandaVision or any of those shows. Amazon Prime has given us a few with Reacher and Jack Ryan. Not Reacher, but Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan now, yeah.
A couple of things, but Netflix doesn't give you anything. I don't think you can buy anything from Netflix.
Every now and then there is a couple. They used to come out. Not so much anymore, and maybe not in 4K. We haven't seen anything because I definitely would have bought like.
I think
Six
there was a
Underground
Blu-ray
and-
version of like the first 2 seasons of Stranger Things.
Yeah,
but
not a
you
4K.
didn't get the later seasons,
that
and
I
you couldn't
know
get
of.
them 4K.
Yeah.
So that's the problem is their exclusivity, and
Yeah.
if you want to watch that stuff, you're kind of bound by their ads or whatever they decide they're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and then honestly, how spoiled are we now? Like, I'm 52. I've been watching commercials for 48 years of my 52 years of life.
Yeah.
And I've done just fine. But now all of a sudden we can't stand commercials anymore.
Well, that's the thing is you get teased, and it's
Right.
not because you can think of how much more content you can watch. You take an hour-long show
Exactly.
and you reduce it to 40 minutes. I can,
Right.
I can now do 2 shows in almost the time, right? It's
Right.
like an hour, an hour and 20 minutes, and I've done 2 shows with no commercials and, quick
And
little
I am the
bathroom
guy
break.
that pays for the premium version
Yeah.
of every service because I don't want to watch them.
Right.
But,
Exactly.
Like to the point where when I have to watch something on CW, I get actually aggravated because I'm watching commercials.
Yep. I won't watch CW anymore. I
No,
don't even-
I'll wait till it hits HBO Max when Superman and Lois or whatever hits HBO Max. I'll watch it there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch it there on CW. So
Steve, you're like wiggling over there, like trying
For the
not to
record,
interrupt.
for the record, I hate ads. It's one of the things, of course, we talked about that I hate at the cinema. One of the things that drives me absolutely bananas there. So we certainly don't want it coming home. There used to be discs over here. A while back, they used to do Blu-rays and DVDs, and they used to have adverts at the beginning of those for chocolate and confectionery and various things.
Oh, wow.
And that very quickly died a death because those were discs that you'd paid for and bought
Right.
and then had to be subjected to these damn adverts. But can you guys remember when, I think it was Sony and I think Universal did it as well. In the early days of Blu-ray, they used to, because the discs were connected, they were online, weren't they? Mm-hmm. And they used to change up the trailers that you used to watch, didn't they? They used to, so you'd get different ones. See, I think that's quite good. I'd have no particular problem with that. But the big issues for me, adverts are, if they start bringing those to all tiers on the streaming services, then things are going to go south pretty quickly. Right. I mean, I get why they're doing it. They're all massively undersubscribed now and overspent, aren't they? On Netflix are billions and billions of dollars in debt. So I get that they need to monetize their service some other way. Of course, we would say, well, then release some of your stuff on physical disc and we'll buy that.
Right.
But so I get why they're doing it. But I agree with you guys. I think it's designed to bring in more subscribers at the lower tier than it is to get people like us to then reduce our subscription. I don't think that's their plan at all. And I think if they started to think that was going to happen, they would get rid of ads altogether, because it's the higher tiers that are paying for most of this stuff. But so, I think you're right. I think that's what it's all about. But yes, death to all adverts.
Hear, hear.
Well, you don't have to kill them. I just want the option to not have them. Right? It's like I just want that option.
It's not. It is irritating, isn't it? Every time.
Yep. Yeah, because you get into a movie or a show or something, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, come on. So.
Yeah, I mean, they're not suggesting that, though, are they? They're not suggesting that in the middle of your Netflix show you're going to get adverts.
No, I think even their ad tiers
beginning and end, isn't it? Yeah.
Are beginning and end, right? Which end makes no sense to me because I can just stop watching when the credits roll. The beginning ones, you kind of have no choice.
Right. Yeah, if you want to get to the show.
Right, if you want to get to the show. But the end, although I guess if you're streaming a show that has multiple episodes, you do still kind of have to watch the end because you can't get to the next episode.
You can't get to the next one, right.
Right.
So there you go.
So they'll slip some in there. But,
my
view, death to all adverts.
You want to know how much I hate advertisement that I know, like when you're and John, I know this one probably goes right through you too, and you too, Steve, but you know that like when you get to a show that's supposed to have ads and there's that break in the show, they'll have that and it'll break away and you'll just have a blank screen. Then they come right back. And I'm even like, even that now, that's how spoiled we are. I'm like, seriously, did the black screen have to be that long?
Well,
that's awful.
We're really going on a tangent now, but remember I talked about this on chat. Lucifer, when it went to Netflix, it was only made on Netflix, they still built in breaks for commercials, even though it was never going to have commercials. When it was on Fox, I get it, right?
Right.
But like when you get to season 4 and 5 of Lucifer, why are we still getting commercial breaks?
Well, because that's the thing is I think they do these on purpose so that they can have an ad-based system. And they can throw ads in or throw it up on something, sell to somebody. Look at the commercials are already built in. Whatever. I don't know. But even that bothers me.
Because I think even Tulsa King does that. I think there's ad breaks
all
in
do.
Tulsa King.
Tulsa King, I thought I mentioned that to you. They're so bad, too. I'm like, they're like right in the middle. It's just like cuts off and goes out, and you're like, what the? It's a horrible segue to an ad. It's just like, oh.
But again, that's a show that was never designed to have commercials.
Right.
But it still has breaks built in.
They're building them in to sell them on, aren't they? To syndicate them to
probably
to other shows
so,
all around the world, where perhaps on those ones there are ad breaks.
Oh, so, maybe. Now
tell me this, guys. Just whilst we're talking adverts, I've never had a chance to speak to Americans about this. Help me out, guys. Right. So tell me, this is something that's very weird, and I can never get used to it when I'm in the States. Okay, so. You guys, when a show starts on normal TV, I don't know if it, on normal cable, whatever, network TV.
John unzips his pants.
Yeah.
So on your version, you get the opening credits of a show,
right,
and then it goes to adverts.
Yes.
Then it comes back to the show. I do not understand that for the life of me. I've never figured that out.
Well, you usually get an intro to the credits. So the show starts, then it goes to credits, then you go to break, then you come back.
But that can be sort of 5 minutes, and you've got kind of 2 ad breaks. It's so disconcerting for us abroad.
I mean, watch an NFL game in the States.
Every time that stops play, doesn't it? There's
my God! Every time the wind blows, they go to commercial break.
Oh yeah,
that's just it was so hard when I first, whenever I'm in the States, so it's so hard following a show because just as you're it starts and then just as it's beginning, it goes to an advert.
Right, you're already right.
Like, what's going on? And anyway, my minor moan. There you go. You've had to take that on behalf of the entire advertising industry.
No problem.
There you go. So let's just flash back to the green room conversation we had, and let's only have comments.
I know that's why I said we're really going on a tangent here.
And it's like Blue Wave, you nailed it. Wow.
Yeah.
We need a couple of those.
We don't need too many things to start conversations.
No, we don't. No. That's why John and I I don't know what amusement park we were sitting in when we came up with the idea of doing this. But that was the thing. It was like, hey, look at that kid over there in the blue shirt. What do you think about blue shirts? Blah, 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 blah. We talked for another hour and a half. I think reds on Tuesdays is good, but blues on Thursdays and Fridays is really nice. All right. Next one. This is, it says upgrade is the subject. Van Gool here. I have been upgrading my system over the past few years. First was a new receiver last year, then speakers and a subwoofer. So sorry, I got to
receiver
interject.
was
just sitting there,
throwing sound out into the ether,
listening really close to the box.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to make that joke. Yeah. You like my new receiver? Yeah, I'm gonna get speaker wire next. Let's see. A friend from work said I would love to have some. I'm sorry. This is actually a good one. I'm sorry. I was just joking. My friend from work said speakers would go great with that. All right. Anyways, I'm sorry. It's a shame we can't have fun. A friend from work said I would love. A friend from work said I would love to have something better than my TV speakers. So I told him I could sell him my old set. The receiver is nothing fancy and just does 5.1. He asked me what do you have? I told him I had Polk T15 towers, Polk C10 center, Polk PSW10 that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace last year. I went over to his place and hooked up the 3.1 with all the speaker wire and cables he needed. The first movie we watched was Spider-Man No Way Home, and he was blown away with how it sounded and how the bass and subwoofer produced. He is happy with his new setup, Jay. And so Jay, spreading the home theater vibe here and getting a friend to get into this stuff with a 3.1 system. So that's pretty cool. When do you think he's going to get the surround channels now?
Right.
Because then, I mean, that is a pretty big upgrade. But going to 3.1, I know I was just talking about this with somebody recently, and it's like somebody said that like you had to have a minimum of a 5.1 system to have a home theater. And I was like, no way. No. You 2.0.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, you can get with a 2-channel system. I had somebody on the podcast with a 2-channel system, and he just sits in the sweet spot, and he loves it. And
well, again, anything that makes you happy is your theater.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, if it's a sound bar, like I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups. I know we talk about this occasionally, but like there's been a trend over the last week or so about people going into these groups and posting their equipment, and their, this new sound bar that they just bought, and then they're just getting hammered by all these people in the groups. Like, you would have been better off throwing your money away. You're not getting true this or true that or whatever. It's like, man, if you are happy with what you've got,
yep,
then it's a theater, and maybe that gets you to the next step. Maybe you have that sound bar till you die. Maybe, it's like, it doesn't matter, but it's like, why do you have to go in there and rain on somebody's parade? They're happy. They're coming in to show off what they just got because they're happy about it. And it's just like hammer, hammer, hammer. And it's like, I don't understand that mentality of people that have to take away from somebody else's happiness, And
don't get DJ started, John.
I know.
Don't get DJ started, John.
I know. I'm gonna be. He's gonna be sending me a YouTube video before I know it.
Yeah, he's ready to go. Look at him go. He's itching to start.
But in this case, I'm on his side. Like, we think the same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I think everybody does. What we're laughing about is I put out a video in the green room over the holidays of all times.
Christmas Eve.
Was it?
No, it wasn't. But it was just a couple days before.
That. Yeah.
Sort of bad Santa-ish.
So what happened in the green room, which is, the forum that I came up with, because I didn't like exactly everything that John just described that goes on in other forums. And it happened in our forum. And it was completely, I don't want to, on the podcast, I don't want to put I don't want to throw out any names or anything like that. But if you're in the green room, you know who we're talking about. And it was completely innocent.
I don't think that was the intent.
No, not at all. It wasn't the intent. And as a matter of fact, for those of you that heard and saw my reaction, it was animated. It was upset. I was upset because what I was seeing was exactly what goes on in other rooms and how that can flourish if you don't step on it right away. And that's what I did. And to the person's credit that I was talking about, he was the first person to reply to me. And he said, thank you. He's like, he apologized, but he's like, he didn't mean it that way, but he was like, thank you for doing that. But he was the first person to step up, which I thought was awesome because did I send the video to you guys before I put it out?
You sent it to both of us.
Okay, I sent it to you. I wasn't sure if I just told you about it or if I sent you the video, because I sent that video out to you guys. I sent it to Ara. I sent it to some people, and I was like, what do you guys think? And, pretty much everybody was like, okay. But that is how we feel. And I'm like, I didn't want to, but that's the point. Now, here, the reaction to the video. I've talked to people about it since then. The reaction that people got back from me is exactly what John was talking about, and that's what I don't want in the green room, in that forum, is that it's positive. If you don't have anything, I think what was the title? Unsolicited criticisms.
Twice.
And people don't, you know what I mean? Like unsolicited criticisms. It's like somebody has something that you think you could improve. Well, that's great. If they ask you for it, that's fine. But that's what ends up happening. I don't know. And like you said, Steve, it's like I could just go off on this, but that is not what the green room is about. And I had comment after comment after that is like, people are afraid to share their stuff because of comments like that. And I had a pretty good conversation with the guy that said that stuff in the green room, and I gave him that perspective, and he completely understood it. He's like, that's not my intent. But that is what happens. It's like people actually will be like, look you're coming down on this room. What are you going to be like when you see mine? So then people don't want to share it.
Yeah, because I am super envious about that room.
No.
Already.
I know.
And it's like...
and that's the thing. But but to be fair, of that room, and I'd say that too. I mean, I've said it to him. None of our rooms are perfect, including that one.
Of course not.
There's always some... Because here's the thing. It's to the taste of the person, right? It's like, that's their tastes. I would do something different. You would do something. Steve doesn't like to do certain things. Steve wants this. You want that. I mean, and we have obstacles to overcome too, right? It's like, I mean, John can't have a dedicated room. So he has to do it, you know. I mean, imagine John posts his theater and be like, you know, if you had a dedicated room, it would be like, yeah, if.
Well, I have yet to post it on any Facebook group. Like, I won't post my equipment just for that reason, because I don't want to deal with it, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, obviously, I did 2 Takeover Tuesdays, and I did obviously home theatre tours. And to be fair, bearing in mind, I also linked on my Twitter page to the raw video from home theatre tours as well, just because that's a 2-minute video instead of me talking for nearly an hour. So I've sort of put that on. And to be fair, and of course on the featured theatres on the website.
Right.
So there's been plenty of opportunity for those to wade in and put the boot in. And yet, to be fair, I've not had a single person, not on Twitter, which is quite surprising, or via the website, or on YouTube comments. I've never had anyone, come in and go, oh, is that all you've got? I would, I do it a different way. What I have had is people getting very upset about the cardboard sleeves. But if you want to hear more about that, then go to the home theatre tours video. But yes, but other than that, but that's I don't care about that. That's not an issue. But in terms of the equipment and the layout and the setup, I've not had any negative comments about that at all.
But even the comments about the sleeves. That's yours. But you know it going in. People are going to love this. And it's like, that's fine. And there's something to be said for, hey, you put something out in public, you got to expect some stuff back, right? And if I put something out publicly on Twitter, or I put it out onto YouTube or something like that, I can't control everybody. But when it came to our green room, our forum, unfortunately, I can control that. And it's like, and I felt like I had to, because that was literally at the foundation of what this is all about. I mean, this is the bright side. And it's like, all you can have is a sound bar. That's fantastic, because that's what you can have, and you're excited about it. And that's great, because we all started at crappier than sound bar. Right.
Yeah, I would have loved the sound bar 20 years ago.
Yeah, and and now you build yourself up from there. And I've said it many times. From Top Gun Maverick, it's not about the box; it's about the man in the box, and that's really what it's about. And that's what I just want. I want the message to be. That's why it's bright side. We're in the room. We're having a good time. What's good about this stuff? If somebody says, "How can I improve it?" Knock yourself out. Give your opinions, and now here's the thing, we could give 3 opinions across the board, down the bus bench. We'd all have different opinions, and the person that we were talking to would be like, "Ooh, I liked part of this one, but I liked this one here, and I like that," and they would take it and make it their own, and that's fantastic, right? And at the end of it, you'd be like, "Well, he didn't use all of mine. That was dumb." No, that's fantastic, because that's his idea or hers. Right. But yeah, so. Yeah. Okay. Nice job, John. You really you
I know, no problem.
You pulled the pin and ran away.
I did.
I loved Steve's face. Here we go. Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Do it.
It wasn't my intent, but it
but it was perfect.
But it
'cause
was,
I almost forgot.
It was
Yeah.
the right
Yep.
time. Yeah.
Yep, perfect. So, all right. Who's up? Who's reading next?
I
Steve?
think I'm next.
Yep.
Yeah. So, it's Brockstar.
Perfect.
Comments on YouTube. You'd think we'd planned this.
No.
Yeah. So this is a YouTube comment, and we can be fairly quick with this one, I think. So this is a YouTube comment from the top 10 must-own discs of 2022 episode, and this is Brockstar. Can't think of any other names that go with him. Steve something or other.
Steve.
And it says House of the Dragons did change for every episode. He's meaning the credit sequence at the beginning, I assume.
Right.
Yep.
Although I still haven't seen it, so no spoilers, anybody.
Oh, okay.
I've got it sat here, and I still haven't watched it. So where it didn't introduce new lands, certain house emblems (brackets, crests) or people that died ended up filled with blood as it ran to the next emblem. Oh dear. It's very intricate and almost impossible to follow without the YouTube Easter egg episodes. Oh, okay. So there we go.
Yeah.
So like the main series, like Game of Thrones, the opening credits changed as the series went on.
It changes almost every. Now I'm paying attention to it because I'm rewatching it, and it changes almost every episode.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
Very, very
Well, no, I'm
subtly,
talking
but
about
it does.
Game of
I know.
Thrones.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. It
No
does,
spoilers.
Well, Game of
Yeah.
Thrones does, yeah.
That's
But
what I'm
so
saying.
does-
It
so does
changes
House of
almost every
Dragons.
episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
So.
Yep. All right. Next one. Another Brockstar. Oh, this is a quick one, too.
Told
He's
off.
just
This is where I get told off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, YouTube comment. Also from the top 10 must-own discs episode. Oh my God! To not have Dune in top 10, sound mixing, bass, story, filmmaking means someone is on the take. That's rubbish. With the best British accent I can muster, from the opening sound, I was hooked.
so. When I saw this come in,
that's
I was
funny.
like, "Wait a minute, we had it in our top 10. What is he
Well,
talking
you and
about?"
I did.
Yeah,
but Steve
exactly.
did
And I
not.
realized he was coming at Steve on this.
Coming
so.
at Steve. Yeah.
Now, to be fair,
Excuse me.
I did say why. I've only seen it
Right.
once.
Right.
I've seen the David Lynch one back when I was a kid, and after I'd seen Star Wars, and it just didn't mean much to me. I just remember the
Right.
big sandworms, and I've not seen it since. So I'm not a big Dune fan, only because I haven't seen it, many times. It's a fantastic disc, but because I haven't seen it enough times, and I haven't, been able to get into that world, that's why it wasn't in my top 10. But yes, although it'd be very nice if the 10 discs and the studios involved in my top 10, if they were prepared to, provide me with some cash, I'll quite happily be on the take.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm afraid it's just personal preference.
Yep. All right. I'll grab these two next two quickly. Mike Schramm, what a great Christmas surprise. Love seeing the father and son interaction between you and Joe. And Love and Thunder, who's also Mike, says you've got a good looking movie buddy there talking about your outtakes, not Joe. And that's the outtake of Romy, my dog, jumping up with me watching movies. And I think I took out a bunch because we had so many comments. But I left these in because I did get a lot of that, the father and son stuff of Joe
This
and
next
I.
one was also the same.
Oh, is it? Well,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Brockstar says the same thing. See, and then we have this other one that I'll have Steve read, and this one's pretty cool too. But even just more than these people, because I did take out a bunch of people just saying like, "That's great, thank you so much," and they just loved hearing our interaction. And they thought people thought that was pretty funny. So thank you to everybody that wrote in on that. So, and why don't you, Steve, why don't you take the Vibe installs?
Yeah, got it. So this is the one that begins with Season's Greetings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, so from Vibe Installs, this is a response to the 4th annual Die Hard, a Christmas tradition episode on YouTube. It says, Season's Greetings, DJ and Joe. I've been a faithful listener over the past 6 months, and it's been great getting to know you as I drive around town working. As for the Christmas special, I really appreciated your candidness and that this is a special tradition you share with your son. Mine is 13, and I'm just starting to share my favorite movies and starting our own traditions. His name is Elliot. Is it bad, by the way, that I want to say that in ET? Like, Elliot. Sorry.
If we weren't on a home theater podcast, that would be awkward. But no, it fits.
I can't. Every time I hear that name, I have to say it that way in my own head. Anyway, so his name is Elliot, and he's already a brilliant game developer and coder. And if you could give him a shout out on a podcast, that would be awesome. And I'm looking forward to 2023 with you guys and hearing all about your new home theater. Merry Christmas to all, and to all, go press play. So there we go. So not only has he had a shout out, he's had an impression. So, can't say any further than that.
Yeah, he's got an impression. Yeah. No, that's awesome. And he's a brilliant game developer and coder at 13, which is, that's the year. That's the age. You start doing that stuff. If you can, some of the smartest people I know with computers and stuff, they've been doing it since they were like that age or younger. And when we were younger, we were like, C prompt, this, that. And oh my God. But yeah, if he can, that's awesome. That's awesome, Elliot. That's great. Brilliant game developer. That's Elliot Games. So that's what it's going to be called.
Elliot Games. Yeah.
I think it's a matter of time before we tap him up for the Brightside home video game.
Oh yeah.
We've just got to work out a genre.
That's more with us.
Horror. It's got to be horror.
First-person shooter.
It's a slasher.
He said something bad about my theater. Blam.
Right.
I was picturing the three of us sitting on the bus bench, and it's a video version of Whack-A-Mole.
Yeah.
There's a whack.
He's on the take. Whack.
Yeah,
he said something bad about the theater. Whack. He didn't mention Jude. Whack.
Oh,
I'm telling you, it's a multi-million-dollar.
It is.
Yep. There you
Don't
go.
give it away for
Hating
free,
that.
Steve.
Yeah. Making that quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whack-A-Mole. The first-person shooter could just be like knocking tin cans off a fence. Oh, Steve took one in the forehead again. Oh, another horror movie. DJ just shot himself.
Yes.
Wah, wah. Jeez. Oh, all right. Good luck, Elliot. Let us know your first game that you've developed, or if you have any developed, that would be cool too. Because we all play video games here. I haven't played in a while, but grew up on them.
Either.
I used to play till 2, 3 in the morning, and go to bed. And my wife would be like, "What were you doing?" "I was laying in a field, and my friend, I hit him on the hill across." Yeah, calm down. Go to sleep. All right, John, you want to read the next one? Okay, one more.
Next
coffee.
one is YouTube is from Okay One More Coffee in reference to the 4th annual Die Hard Christmas tradition. I remember the first time seeing you on the SVS Happy Hour. This has rapidly become one of my favorite channels. You, John, and Steve put together a great show. I really like how you are all on together now. Cheers.
Thanks.
I don't remember being on Cheers, but I'm not seeing any residuals for that.
Right. Well, that's
in
what
the
happens
interest
when
of
you go to a
openness-
bar, John. You don't remember.
Right. That's true.
In the interests of openness and fairness, it's DJ that puts the show together. We
He
just rock
does,
up and just read it out.
I honestly just show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every week,
Just
I'm
show
afraid I'm done. It's like, no. Every week, I'm like, what can I do to make them happy
Yeah.
without more money?
Yeah. Or any, really. More would signify there was some to start with. But,
That's John.
I mean, just calling them like I see them.
If we're gonna be particular, there hasn't been any yet. The best I do is I send you a crappy movie on your doorstep because I know you won't buy it yourself. Whoops.
Yeah, that's payment enough.
Yeah. No, but that was cool. Like I even said that to I think this was one of the comments I was referring to when I was talking to Nick and Gary from SVS, and I was like, me going on there, I've got more people, other comments like this in the past.
Right.
Be like, "Oh, I saw you on that," and now I'm watching and listening, and I'm like, it's crazy. Crazy. All right, I'm up next. This is WJRNEO. Would Junior Neo 2?
And Bingo was his name.
Yeah, there you go. Commented on the Hans Zimmer podcast we did. He says, in a single word, because I said the title is Hans Zimmer Live in Prague a must-own Blu-ray? He says, in a single word, yes. It's simply one of the best produced performances out there of his work. The sound mix in Atmos from the Blu-ray is second to none. Crank that volume way up. I can't wait till the next concert Blu-ray that has Dune score on it. Hopefully Lisa Gerard will return for the vocals. Chills. So, yeah. It is. You've seen it since then. Did we talk about that, Steve, already?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's one of the ones I took out of my list because I figured that
we can add that in next week.
I had to try and whittle it down. Yes,
right.
I have now watched it. It was exceptional, and in fact, I tweeted out that the bit that he's referring to there with Lisa Gerard didn't return for this. This is the Now We Are Free part of the Gladiator soundtrack,
Right.
Which I thought not only did I have goosebumps, but it actually, I had the sound up to where it should be. But honestly, I don't think I'm not too ashamed to say, actually, was quite tearful. I think it was very emotional. It's a beautiful piece of music. And I've always loved the Gladiator score anyway. But this was done in such a clever way. I thought it was exceptional. The only thing I would say, I don't know if you guys can tell me whether you found this or not. As it gets to the end of the disc, as it gets towards, we're going back to Interstellar again and things like that, the bass level suddenly went really deep.
Yeah.
One of the last couple, they really went deep. My sub started to sort of, have a
hop around the room.
That's it. Yeah, I had to put the child gates up. Because they suddenly, but that kind of comes out of nowhere. It's beautifully measured and powerful bass throughout. But then at the end, suddenly it goes to another level. I'm not quite sure what that was. I wondered if it was my setup actually, but that was noticeably more powerful. Suddenly it was a little bit uncontrolled, I thought, just that little bit. But up until then, it was beautiful. I mean, as I said, I absolutely love the Gladiator stuff. The Pirates of the Caribbean stuff's really good. It was such a nice, such a nice disc. It's great. So yeah, I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love the Dark Knight stuff. When you get into that,
the electric bass thing.
The electric bass, but not only that the opening to the Dark Knight, when they have that long, I didn't know what it was. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Sorry,
the violins, the dueling violins, but that you can never hear. It's just a constant sound, but there's no like changing of the direction of the bow, and it's just seeing it live like that, and and then hearing it, and like you said, to your point about the bass, what on that stage is doing that? Right? Yeah, that's what I want to know. Like, when we're in our rooms, we kind of take this stuff for granted, and we're like, oh, yeah, they got machines and stuff, and that's what makes our rooms vibrate. But when you hear it in a score like that, and your room starts going, like, what is going on back there? Like, what instrument is doing this different stuff? And, I mean, I know there's different basses. You have bass drums, you have bass player, you have all this different stuff, but some of that stuff, you just, like, to mix it all and to get all that, like you said, Steve, that emotion, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's beautiful. As I said, the Gladiator score is exceptional. I think personally some of Hans Zimmer's best work. And as I said, once that started, I thought it was lovely. And as I said, genuinely an emotional experience. And if I go back to watch that, that'll be the bit that I watch again and again and again, and show that to other people, because you genuinely feel
you get
like
Shawshank
right
though.
There.
You do get Shawshank, because I've done that on a few times with this. I've had people in, and I'm like, oh, just check this out. Next thing you know, you're like, just let it ride.
You're watching the whole thing.
Yeah, you're like, just from wherever you jump to, it's like you end up, it's so good. Yeah, so good. Do we want to act this one out? This is a conversation with a friend of mine. He runs my hockey team. His name's Shane. You guys can see it there. I'll read the blue. Steve, you want to read the black?
Tonight, the part of
I'll read me.
Steve.
I'm like, so what it is?
I'm going to read the Shane parts, and you can read the me parts.
You read Shane's parts, which are in the dark gray. I'll read the blue.
Shane English?
No. But yeah, so Shane bought a new OLED television. This was months ago, and he wanted to know some sound. He wanted to improve the sound in his room now. So I said, my go-to for sound, in my opinion, is Sonos. And Shane's a buddy of mine. He's doing okay, so that wasn't the issue. But I was like, I would do Sonos. So for Christmas, he got a Sonos, and he got a Sonos One. So he's like, is this going to work? I can't get this to connect to my television. And I said, no, that's not going to work. He showed me the picture, and he said, what should I get? And here's where we'll jump in. I said, if you can, I'd get the Sonos Arc. It's a better speaker that gives you some really nice Atmos for a sound bar. You can pair either of them with two Sonos Ones, which you have one of, for a full surround effect. Oh, the other one was the Sonos Beam I had recommended to him. So between the two, and here we're jumping in where I'm saying I'd go with the Arc. It's better. It's a better speaker than the Beam. So you can read the next line.
Yeah, and he said, so that's what I'll do. I'll get the Arc. I'll keep you posted. Thanks, bud.
I said, cool. I'll be happy to come by and help you set it all up.
And he replies, okay, cool. That'd be great. It is really expensive to be your friend.
And I said, well, you just made my next podcast with that line. But I have a couple of guys on my team now that three people have gotten new TVs on my team since being in my theater. They've bought new TVs and they're looking to get new equipment, new sound, and they're trying to upgrade their systems. And to me, that's what's fun. It's, we're all, and it goes back to the Thanksgiving podcast where we're trying to, who was it that said it? I forget who said it. I want to get more people into this, and I want tell people to do this. And I'm like, I didn't tell anybody to do this. Just show them. If they take to it, they take to it. And that's what happened. And it's great. I love it. And everybody says that. Oh, it's expensive to be your friend. I didn't tell you to do it. So, all right, John, you want to read the next one?
Yeah. So this is from I'm Lil Chili Willy in SoCal.
Yeah. Good
Thumbs
job.
up, John.
And down and JW.
Yeah.
Now, is that two different people or is that all the same person?
In Southern California. Yeah, I know.
Okay. So it says, hey, bro, DJ, gotta always love your content. I'm not going to go through all the emojis.
No.
There's a lot of them. I listen to your content from beginning to end, even if I have to on 2 or 3 different settings. I'm a new and recent subscriber to this channel after being a subscriber to HT Guys, not realizing that you had your own channel. Duh. I watched all 12 hours on HT Guys, enjoying the fact that you and Ari are just happy for each host having their own unique HT, even though other channels would just thrash it because either not a dedicated room or that each speaker channel isn't in the exact Dolby Atmos spec. I also have enjoyed the last 2 years of the annual Thanksgiving podcast of many different podcasts joining together. And you had Jay Brock with you. Just one request. Please have Jay Brock join you guys on a podcast that we can see him, not just on the Tuesday podcast. Again, I love the trio of DJ and John and Steve. Peace out, bro, from sunny Southern California. Please.
I think you've got to work on your surfer talk there, John.
I do.
Hey,
Yeah.
dude. Peace out, bro.
Peace out, bro.
Oh, I like that. I'm wondering if that's a friend of John Brock or John Brock.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know how much John Brock paid for that. Maybe that is John Brock.
Yeah, it is John Brock. Yep.
Just like we have, Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder, Mike Schramm. Yep.
Give the game away. If he calls you bro, next time you see him, you'll know.
Yep.
Yeah,
With
exactly.
with the fingers.
No, but that's another comment to the positivity, right? And it's, that, and R and I say that all the time on the podcast, on the HT tours, is that, there are comments in there, but for the most part, the people that are watching the HT tours, pretty positive. Right? Every now and then you'll get a couple of people in there, and ours like, I want to take them down, but we don't want to be that kind of person either. It's YouTube, knock yourself out, but you're the minority if you're going to start tearing people's stuff apart. And that it really is the case in most of this stuff. So, I mean, yeah, that's the idea. So thanks, Chili Willy. Appreciate it.
Cheers,
next
bro.
one. What's that?
Lil Chili Willy.
Cheers, bro.
Just Chili Willy.
That was my skull.
Can I just say, guys, Chili Willy means something very different over here.
Well, it might mean the same thing here too. But
Yeah, exactly. Not for this podcast. The water was cold.
that's green room content.
Right, exactly. Greg Bartley on YouTube commenting on audiophile and home theater chat with Nick and Gary of SVS. He says, I believe people who don't care about great sound is because they've never experienced it. To which I would say, no, I don't believe that.
I don't agree either.
Because there's a lot, like I've experienced the color green. Not a fan. You know, like if I was going to buy a car, I don't want to necessarily buy a green car. There's a lot of things out there that, you know, that I just don't like. That, you know, take horror, for instance. I've experienced horror movies.
Well,
but you know what I mean? It's like just because it doesn't mean they haven't experienced it. What it means is when maybe they did experience it and it just didn't impress them enough to go further with it. That's all.
Like, I wouldn't say I have a great setup, but I have a good setup. You know, 123-inch screen, pretty good audio. It's a pretty good experience. My wife could take it or leave it. Right. She experiences it every day, and it means absolutely nothing to her. Right now, she's watching TV in the bedroom with TV speakers, and she would rather be there than in the living room, you know.
Right.
So it's not everybody that experiences it isn't going to fall in love with it.
Good point. That's a great example, yeah. And it's, you know, just like I said, I had a bunch of guys from my hockey team. 3 of them decided to get involved. The rest of them, oh, yeah, that's great. What a waste of time.
Right.
Yeah,
but,
well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's nice. Oh, glad you're into that. And then, like, I mean, you know, I got a friend that's a hunter. I could never kill an animal, but I got to eat, right? I understand it, but I couldn't do that. There's no way. I've experienced it. Don't want to ever do it. But so, all right. Next up there, Steve. From
this is Dennis Berger. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is a response to the Brent Butterworth YouTube video on First Blood, when it turned out Brent had just seen it.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. But for the record, if we're going to do a deep dive on First Blood, can I put my name forward for that, please?
Yep.
Anyway, right. Anyway, so this is from Dennis Berger. He says, DJ, you were asking for music recommendations that sound incredible. Check out Hania Rani, and I think that it may be Ezja or Echa, and Home are 2 albums in particular that simply sound incredible and reward intent, mindful listening. That sounds tricky for me. I try not to do intent, mindful listening of music.
I've seen DJ's mind. I don't know. I've seen it in action, and I don't know that that's something that he can do. But
well, to be fair, I bought them, both albums.
Did you?
It's Hania Rani is the artist, and Ezja and Home are the 2 different albums. So I went on and bought them right away because you know what Dennis Berger is? That's Brent's co-host from his podcast.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and I was like, "Hey, Dennis, how you doing? You listen to my podcast? All right, woo!" But yeah, Dennis has been in the industry. He's been around as long as Brent. Great guy. I love listening to their podcast, and which we talked about when Brent was on. Audiophile. I forget the name exactly. Not Happy Hour, but it's Audiophile something. But they're great. And Dennis is funny. He goes right at people that come at him. Like they get criticism because they have like industry names, right? And it's like, I mean, Brent wrote for all the different magazines or whatever. So when they say something, people love to bash them, and Dennis goes right at them. It's so fun to listen to. It's great. But yeah, I bought both those albums. They should be in. I'm trying to actually do more mindful, intentful, like listening to records and stuff like that, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, with the turntable and everything. So
cool.
All right, John.
DJ's trying to be a DJ. Is that what's happening?
I was just looking.
A couple of decks.
Yeah. The next 2 are pictures.
Well, did you get the? It says I put
the stuff above it. Yeah.
Yep.
Put together the HD today.
Above it.
It's just basically this. You want me to read it quick?
I'm just scrolling through the because I just have it where I'm scrolling through the pictures and I don't see.
Okay, so Gurinder says.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
He said, I put together the HT today. It is a 5.2 right now. Put it up temporarily while we had company over. Look at the temp speaker surrounds and the attached picks. The projector sitting on my large acoustic panels, one 6-incher that normally beside my speaker, and the other is a 9-inch deep panel that is normally the rear wall going the width of the couch. Watched Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time ever. Oof. Heard the Wilhelm scream. That's cool. Time for some horror movie. My cousin and I always end up watching one since we've been kids. Maybe Smile. I left that in there for Steve. But this is really, I know I wish I could put these in. They're kind of in the longer version, but he sent the pictures of these. He literally has his speakers mounted to like a board leaning up against the wall. And then the other picture is just like he said. It's just like he just put the projector on a makeshift shelf on the back wall just to get his theater, just to get some kind of a home theater experience. And that's fantastic. This is that stuff that people don't, people will be like, oh my God, you did what? Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, people. Just get in there, have fun, And that's exactly what Gurinder's doing here. And I thought that was awesome. So I just wanted to note that. All right, John, you want to read the next Vibe installs?
So the next is from
the
YouTube.
last one, too.
Yep, Vibe installs. It says, Happy New Year, DJ. Is that the new intro? Is there some audio panning now? LOL. The sights and sounds, the scenes have been upgraded. First of all, you're not a donkey. If you are, I hate to think, I don't know what this is referring to, but anyway.
I called myself a donkey in one of the recent podcasts.
If you are, I'd hate to think what I would be. Thank you for all the effort you put into the show. For an HT nerd, it's something I look forward to. In the Bible, God spoke even through a donkey, so count yourself blessed. I hope to contribute to your show somehow this year. I wish all the best to you and your family. On a review side of things, have you seen Warriors of Future on Netflix? It's pretty much a ripoff of around 10 of the best sci-fi movies of the last 20 years and unoriginal, but wow, what a great HT experience. My room was rocking from every direction. I also want to give you props for introducing me to the movie RRR. Both me and my wife just loved it, and it was also an awesome HT experience in my room. That one disappointing show that I was looking forward to was the new Willow on Disney+. I'm with you. It just keeps getting worse, and with every episode, it's kind of sad. Oh well. Bad Batch starts this week, and hopefully it redeems. Take care, and looking forward to pressing play with you and the boys in 2023. Julian, Vibe Home Media. So yeah, I completely agree with Willow. I've enjoyed it less and less with each passing week.
That's too bad, because I was going to get into that, and then I started hearing stuff like this, and I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to get into that. I got better things. I got other things to do. But yeah, thanks, Julian. That was great. All the effort. There is some effort involved here, but it's so much fun.
You downplay it, but you do a lot of work for the show.
Yeah, but it's fun. I love doing this, and even to like what he opened with, the audio panning. That's always been there, but now with the new tech and my new knowledge of how to use this tech and stuff, I can actually enhance it more. And that has always been there. It's always gone from left to right and back and forth. But now with the new open, what I do is I actually take each person when they record for me, I break it up, and then I put like we are, and then that's only going to the right, then it only goes to the left, then it goes to the right, and then theater at the end is in stereo by everybody, so it just comes through. And I think as that builds, it's going to sound more and more fun with everybody's voice in there. And the one this week, I finished it just before we started recording. It's got Nick in there, everybody that's been on the show so far. And I'm hoping this week, maybe not, I don't know if I get time, but there's the credit roll at the end is going to have everybody's name that's at the beginning. So as people come on, as Takeover Tuesdays resume and more people come on and we have more guests on, all those names will be in the end credit scene as well. So, but that's
if we get into the credits, DJ, does that mean we all get an IMDb credit then?
Yeah.
We're gonna be there.
Directed by DJ Breaks.
Yeah. Directed. Can you say we are Brightside Home Theater? Right. Yes. There you go. Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think IMDb knows who we are, but we do,
Since
and that's
you can
all that matters.
create your own page and put anything you want on there, I'm saying yes.
IMDb?
Yeah.
You can?
I think you can. Yeah.
I think you can.
Most people manage their own. Well, I guess they have people that do it for them, but they're all managed by the actors or the people.
Oh,
that are
really?
Involved. Yeah.
Oh. Well, okay.
A little bit of IMDb trivia. It was started from a bedroom in Bristol, which is about 15 minutes away from me.
Oh, really?
That's where. Yeah. Literally, some guy just started it in his bedroom, and
so maybe you could manage our IMDb page.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Go on over to the bedroom, knock on the door.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think they've outgrown the bedroom now.
They're right. They're not in the bedroom anymore.
Yeah, they were for a long time though. I mean, you're only talking in the last 2 or 3 years that they
went to the
away.
garage and then they went.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's like Amazon.
Yeah.
I'm still in the basement under the stairs here, in the closet. That's where I am. So, but yeah. Thanks, Julian. Thank you to everybody for all the comments. And yeah, RRR. Yeah, we'll be talking about that again real soon in the podcast. So, all right. Okay. Coming soon. This is where we're going to pick up some time, boys.
All right. Nothing. Moving on.
I have no idea what you said because the sounder was playing, John. What did you say?
Oh. I said nothing. Moving on.
Oh. All right. Coming out on January 10th, because today Black Adam came out on disc, and Prey the Devil, Munchausen. But coming next week, January 10th, we have Dragons Forever from 1988 in 4K. Do you know that one, Steve?
No, I never heard of it.
Do you know that one, John? It looks like it looks like a kung fu movie or something. Okay. Also, Groundhog Day in 4K from 1993.
That's been out before. That seems appropriate, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. And same with Ouija.
Yeah.
In 4K.
Yeah, it's a steelbook. It's just a different edition, but it's the same film, same transfer, I think.
It seems to be that way most of this month. Like They Live is coming out the week after that, but there are a few other ones the following the 17th that I think are maybe fresh. But yeah, this is a very slow month for discs. Only 3 next week, so that's it.
We save the pennies. It's all good.
Yep, exactly. It's kind of disappointing though, because sometimes you just need something fresh.
Well, I can catch up on some more catalog stuff that I haven't bought yet.
I haven't seen Star Wars in about a week and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get Black Adam on the 16th. So we've got a little bit to wait yet. So we get it in the middle of the month. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that in 4K.
Oh. All right. Here we go. All right. We ready to get to our home theater experiences here? We've got a list. We're probably about halfway through the show. My list is fairly short and quick, and it interacts with you guys. So let's start out. What do you got, Steve?
Oh, God, I want to hear what John thought of the Northman. Can I
defer
my time to the honourable?
You want to kick or defer?
From Texas. Yes.
I'll defer. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So I watched the Northman 4K disc. I mentioned on the last show that I was trying to get it in before the top 10 list, but I didn't have time to watch it. Fortunately, the next Tuesday we didn't have to record, so I had a lot of time to watch a movie. So I still have my issues with the movie itself, but what an unbelievable home theater experience this disc is. It is absolutely incredible and would have been my 1 or 2 disc of the year if I had seen it. So yeah, fantastic. I would watch it again anytime just for the experience of it. I still don't like some of the the dream supernatural elements of the film itself. Although the second time around with a different perspective, I did enjoy it a little more. But I mean, it's just, what can you say about the the opening and then the Mustafar ending were just unbelievable. You know? But yeah, that open is just like it gets you from the very first 30 seconds and never lets go. Like it just.
I thought the HDR too on the open and that.
Oh yeah,
it just
unbelievable.
looks amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
I had the biggest, dopiest grin on my face when that opening happened.
Yeah,
you could almost sense the bass before the bass comes. You can feel the speakers starting to come alive before you get that opening, voiceover, which is just absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It reminded me a bit. Thinking about it, it's a bit like Tulsa Doom's voiceover in Conan, isn't it? The start of
Conan
and that kind of stuff, and it's that same kind of. Sorry, it's not Tulsa Doom, is it? It's his other thing, but the same sort of thing, that kind of that voiceover from from the ether. Such a good film. And notice, John, that was my number one film. So,
it was, I knew that it was, and it would have been up there for me too. Like I said, I think I put Dune number one. I don't even remember now.
I thought you had Maverick.
Maybe I had Maverick number one and Dune number two.
Yeah.
And this would pump them both down. Like I actually think this is a better home theater experience than Maverick.
Really?
Yeah. Maverick is a easier watch and a more fun. I mean, it's definitely an easier watch and has more rewatchability. But as far as the actual, like just the sounds, the sights and the sounds, I think the Northman was better. I think it's a better film.
Now, John, look, John, just a word to the wise. We got away with it a bit earlier.
I know.
BJ about things. Let's not go back to. Let's not tweak the tail of the tiger anymore by saying that Maverick is not the best home cinema.
Send all your letters to DJ at the Brightside Home Theater.
This is what happens when you put out one video where you drop an F-bomb. Now everybody's afraid of me. Let's not anger him any further. It's like up until then, it was like,
don't anger the HD
so much
god.
Fun. Yeah, he's a fun guy. It's like, I saw that video. Yeah,
we'll all end up naked, crawling around a fire, barking like dogs because it'll be the only way that we can appease the HD god.
I think over my lifetime, I'll watch Maverick way more times than the Northman.
Right.
But I think it just could be.
I already have.
You already have, yeah. You've watched it already more times than I ever will. If I live another 50 years, I won't see it that many times. But yeah, as far as disc of the year, like I said, it's probably my number one. Yeah. So.
All right. What do you got, Steve? What horror movie do you have in mind?
So, no. I know. I want to know if you guys have ever heard of this film.
Never heard of it.
Because you may have done. Right, Wind River. Okay, now you.
I feel like I have.
Right.
But I might be thinking of something else.
Well, I had never heard of it either until about a month ago when someone on Twitter said, this is, I'm going to rewatch this, can't wait. I love this film. And it's a film with Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen in it. Jeremy Renner, I mean, let's hope he's okay.
Yeah.
Although, interestingly, when I heard about the story, what had happened to him, this is a film where he's riding around on snowmobiles and
really?
snow and all that. Yeah.
Jeez.
So it was like, oh my God, talk about art imitating life or vice versa. So this is by the writer and director of Hell or High Water, the Chris Pine thing. So great film, that one. So when I heard that, I thought, right, I've got to get this and give it a watch. And it was a blind buy. It cost me £3. So, less than five bucks on Blu-ray. So that was good news. It's not in 4K anywhere as far as I know, so I had to buy the 1080p Blu-ray. So the film is about a murder that takes place on an Indian reservation. And I don't know if you guys knew, I didn't know, that apparently the law of the land on these Indian reservations is different to the law of the land elsewhere. And they have their own sheriffs and they have their own way of doing things. And this is a semi-true story about a little girl or young girl who is raped and murdered. And then Elizabeth Olsen comes in, not as the Scarlet Witch, but comes in as the as an FBI investigator who's immediately an outsider, and she has to be sort of shepherded around by Jeremy Renner, who is the sort of the local guide stroke hunter. There we go, back again. And it's then about it's a little bit of a whodunit, it's a little bit of a mystery, it's a little bit of a kind of fish out of water type thing. And as a film, it is fantastic. And this honestly could have been one. it's one of those films that I cannot believe I'd never heard of. I cannot believe it's not had Oscar buzz. I think it's from like 2017 as well.
I was going to say, how
new movie.
old is it?
Yeah, it's not new, but it's not old, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And chaps, if you haven't seen it and you haven't, honestly, as I said with The Grey, this is one to make an effort to see. Todd Anderson tweeted out after I tweeted my response to it, was like, oh, it's a great film. And it really is, and it has a number of sequences in it. So to then move beyond the movie to the home theater experience, it's only DTS-HD, but of course we'll upmix it to Neural X, and it has a number of action sequences in it which really do test the subs and test the surround speakers. The whole thing's set, in a rural environment anyway, but there are some action sequences that have got some punch to them. This is highly recommended. No one has said anything other than see this movie, and I completely agree. And if you've seen Hell or High Water, and if you liked that, then you will be blown away by this. Pun sort of intended. So I would genuinely, chap, this is one to put to the top of your must-see list, and I don't say that lightly. It's well worth it. Yeah. So anyone who's listening or watching this who hasn't seen it, like I hadn't, do yourselves a favor and give it a watch. You'll love it. So,
I will do.
Really, really good.
Cool. Okay, I saw Die Hard again. You heard that podcast?
I have heard of that one.
Now, since the podcast, or
no, not since. But I did want to go back. I waited all year to see it, and I did want to go back and watch it again right away, but I didn't. But yeah, just amazing. So.
Actually, Dee, just whilst we talk about Die Hard, just very briefly, I can answer a question that you had on your podcast
with Joe.
With Joe, yeah.
Yep.
You asked what's Spanish for Die Hard.
Oh, that's right. I did. I asked Joe.
You did. Now in Spain, because I have very good memories of this because I first saw this film in Spanish, and I saw it in Spain in an outdoor theater in the summer of '89. So I hadn't been out there long. Now, it's not called Die Hard in Spain. It's called Jungla de Cristal. Literally, the glass jungle is what it's called there.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So in terms of the Spanish for Die Hard, the movie, it's Jungla de Cristal.
What's the name of the book it's from? I think that's off of the book.
Roderick Thorpe. It is Flying Solo, Going Solo, something like that. Yeah, because he's an ex-pilot in the book.
Oh.
And he dreams about flight stuff. Yeah, Roderick Thorpe wrote it.
Okay.
Flying Solo. Oh, something like that. It's going to drive me crazy now. I'll have to look it up. But
cool.
But yeah, that's
funny.
what it's called in Spain. So when you said that, I thought, oh, I know that one.
That's a good one. That actually is a good one. Thanks for listening.
My pleasure.
All right. In trying to be brief here, that's why I said that one. Why don't we go back to John with your next one?
Yeah, so I watched Jack Ryan season 3. This is on Amazon Prime Video. It was available in 4K Dolby Atmos. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the season. I know you've only watched 2 episodes of it. Really enjoyed the season and the storyline, and I thought it was a pretty top-notch, again, quality stream. I mean, the HDR looks great. The Atmos sounded really good. Again, maybe not like Rings of Power good, but yeah, it was a very good presentation, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So recommend. Of course, if you've already watched season 1 and 2, you're probably going to watch this anyways.
Yeah.
If you haven't, start with season 1 and go through it. But
yeah, because it all does
really
intertwine.
Good.
I noticed that in the
kind
first
of
2
connect.
episodes.
Especially, and the bad part about a lot of these streaming shows is, like, I had to go back and look. Season 2 was 3 years ago, 2019. Yeah. So that's a long time between seasons. And there's like some recurring characters that pop back up in this season. And I didn't know who any of them were because it's been so long since, season 2 that I had to kind of go back and, figure out who these people were. So, that's...
Well,
but they do, like I said, they do kind of build on each other. So you want to go through it in order.
So I just finished the first 2 seasons over the fall because they came out on Kaleidescape.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they came out on Kaleidescape, and which got us hopeful for Rings of Power coming out and being like, oh, which we still don't have yet, but hopefully we will. Having watched them on Kaleidescape and now seeing this, I agree with you. As a stream, it looks good,
but it's probably
it's one of those. You just don't have the dynamics that you have with the physical media, right? So when your black levels and your brights and your darks aren't as, the contrast isn't as great, and then the same with your sound. It just doesn't have that depth in the clarity and the highs that you get. It's still really good, but that's when I was going to, and I'm only 2 episodes in, but that's what I'm noticing here. It's just not there. The reason, interesting enough, the reason I'm only 2 episodes in is I was kind of holding out because Kaleidescape's doing something new now. They have a new,
I saw that.
They're doing it with Yellowstone.
Right.
And
you can buy weekly episodes, right?
Yeah. It'll drop the day after it drops.
Right.
But what I'm wondering what they're doing is like, now is I don't know. Is the entire season out already on Amazon? They dropped all at once.
Jack Ryan? It dropped all at once.
Okay.
Yeah. Which
I wasn't
was
sure
weird
if they
because
did it
I
like
kind of
Rings
was
of Power.
expecting a weekly thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they dropped the whole season. So
okay.
So Kaleidescape might get it pretty
anytime
quick,
soon, I would think. But maybe not, because they want people to be watching it on Amazon for a while, and then they'll drop it when the physical is coming out, shortly before the physical. But I was kind of holding out for that, and I was just like, well, I can't wait any longer because I really like the series. The reason I waited so long on the first 2 seasons was because you and I have talked about it, chat, and now here, it's many times. Amazon was such a disaster with trying to get it in Atmos.
And that first season was really rough.
Yes, it was really hard to just get, and I didn't want to watch it until I had the best possible quality. And then by the time my system was up, and there was other things, and then when it dropped on Kaleidescape, I was like, all right, I'll start again. And I watched from beginning to end, and I think it was like, wasn't until like episode 6 or 7 of season 1 where I finally was like, okay, I haven't seen this before. Because I'd seen it so many times, started it and been like, no, this, But yeah, it's a great series. It is a good home theater experience, bordering on great. I love the score, if you will. They make a lot of nice sounds that bounce around your room that seem unique to this show. I don't know how else to put it, but it is pretty cool. Very, very dynamic sound stage. Lots of fun stuff, and action too. Gunshots galore. Very good. Really, really enjoyed it.
Well, yeah, it's definitely that type of show. Car chases and
exactly.
all of the above. Yeah.
Yep. So, all right, Steve, what do you got next?
Okay, so I've got a nice, cheery little film next. Emancipation. This is the Apple TV Plus movie, the slave movie with Will Smith, which was this time last year would have been Apple's, because it was shot in the summer of, not the summer just gone, the one before. So this time last year would have been Apple's hope for the Oscars this year. Something happened. I'm not sure what happened. Something that just meant Will Smith just not as bankable as he was. I don't know if you can help me with that. Anyway, so the film is very, very well. It's another one in our series of movies that you endure, you don't enjoy.
Right.
You watch the film with an ever-growing sense of dread and horror at what you are seeing and what is unfolding in front of you. But this film is never less than riveting. I thought it was really, really well done and a very unusual film. Have either of you seen it, by the way? I don't know.
No.
I took the holidays off from that.
Well, I get that.
Yeah,
because it's not an easy watch.
Yeah.
When you've seen it, it'll be interesting to talk about it again because there are some interesting stylistic choices that they make, which are spoiler free. But I don't, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about until you've seen it. Right. So it's a very riveting film, and it's a challenging film, and as it's supposed to be. From a home theater perspective, it's an unusual one as well because these stylistic choices affect the image quality and they affect the sound. But overall, it's really good and well worth seeing if you are in that frame of mind, bearing in mind the subject matter. But yeah, no, it's well worth it. Definitely worth picking up. Again, Apple TV, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get something that's decent quality.
Really
It's perhaps, again, I think this again is going to come back to the discussion once you guys have seen it, because I hope you will at some point see it. I think it is slightly hindered in terms of its top quality because of the stylistic choices that are made. There are some interesting things being done with this film, both sonically and visually. So it's not up there with the best that Apple TV Plus have got to offer, but it's still very good and it's well worth seeing. And as a film, it has. Yeah, it's good. Again, if you can get through things like 12 Years a Slave and stuff like that, then that's kind of what you're talking about. And it's well worth it. I don't want to give anything away, so it's well worth seeing. I'm not going to say enjoy, but give it a go.
Another one of those.
Oh yes, very much so.
All right, John. Or is it me again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't John go? You guys got way more than I do.
You want me to go?
Sure.
Hang on.
I can jump in on this one as well. So.
Yeah, because this is on your list as well. So next up is Glass Onion from Netflix, 4K Dolby Atmos. It's obviously a Knives Out mystery. As far as the home theater perspective, this is not necessarily a Dolby Atmos movie, but visually I thought it looked great. I thought the HDR and everything looked fantastic. The Atmos was there, but it's just not that, it's not an action movie. It's not a lot of gunshots. And I mean, there is a scene towards the end where the Atmos shows up. I won't spoil it for those that haven't seen it, but I thoroughly enjoyed the movie, though. I don't think it was quite as good as Knives Out. Was funnier.
I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen Knives Out?
No.
Knives Out is great.
Yeah, I've heard.
I thought Knives Out had a better cast. I liked the characters better. And I thought the mystery was a little better in the first one. But this is very enjoyable. Like, in my opinion, I thought it was a lot of fun and definitely worth the watch. So, Steve?
Yeah, I had almost an identical conversation this morning with a friend of mine about that, who said exactly the same thing, John, who'd seen them both and said he preferred Knives Out to Glass Onion. And I feel the opposite way.
Okay.
I preferred Glass Onion to Knives Out, only because I loved in Glass Onion, which I really did enjoy. And to give you some context, because this had to work for me to enjoy it, because I was on call. I got woken up at 2:00 in the morning, and I had this horrible cold before Christmas, and I couldn't shake it, so I couldn't go back to sleep. So I then watched for 2.5 hours this film using these headphones and an Apple TV in the spare room, because when I'm on call, I sleep in the spare room, so as not to wake the household. And so I watched it for a 2.5-hour movie between 2:30 in the morning and 6 a.m. or whatever it was. So it had to work to keep my interest. I watched the whole thing through. I loved it.
Yeah.
And the reason I loved it is I loved the lightness of touch, the froth. It's just very, very funny, I thought, as well.
It was
funny. Cast all seemed to be having a whale of a time, and then I thought that Daniel Craig was really hamming it up this time, and he did a bit of that in Knives Out, but in this one,
but much more in this.
Absolute ball, and I really responded to that. I thought it was really good fun. And so for me, I thought it was better. But having said that, I've only seen Knives Out once. I've got the 4K disc, and I need to see it again. But this one just seemed to me to be a director and a cast that are hitting their stride, that have they've done the warm up, and now they're cooking with gas. And that's kind of seemed how it seemed to be. The new phrase, Deej?
No, that's my dad's. Now you're cooking with gas.
Yeah, my grandfather used to say that too.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, guys. I'm aging disgracefully.
Yeah.
Disgraceful.
But yeah. So I thought it was they'd hit their stride. It was fantastic. I thought it was really funny, and So this was good. And I'm not a big Rian Johnson fan. I haven't quite forgiven him for The Last Jedi yet. That's my own personal bugbear. But I thought it was really good and well worth watching. but
Oh,
yeah,
for
as
sure.
I said, a friend of mine, my best friend is of your opinion. He says, liked them both, but Knives Out was his favorite.
Yeah.
So yeah, well worth watching.
Cool. All right. Then, Steve, why don't you go again, since that was John's anyways. You go again with your next one, which is
Okay.
nice little flip from Emancipation here.
Yeah, this is a smooth transition.
Yes.
I think we can say here from Emancipation to G.I. Joe Origins, Snake Eyes on 4K disc. Okay, so this is one I bought not long after it was released. And it was a blind buy. I hadn't seen it, and it's been sat on my shelf since it came out in 2021, and I have never quite got the desire up to watch it until just before Christmas. And I thought, do you know what? I've bought the damn thing. What was the point of buying it if I'm never going to watch it? So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to sit down and watch it. Now, I've got the other two G.I. Joe movies in 4K.
Yep.
I quite like them. They're very guilty
They're fun.
pleasures.
Right,
But
for sure.
They are, and they are in the Transformers mold. It's interesting. They're both from Paramount. It's that kind of
Hasbro.
It's just nonsense, and it knows it's nonsense, but you kind of check your brain at the door, and away you go. And actually, I was quite surprised at this. There's a little bit more to it than I was expecting, film wise. It's not. Well, first, it's not awful, which is good news. It is exactly what you think you're going to get is what you get, with a little.
Not a
bit
lot of
extra
dialogue?
kind of- no, he does talk in this. Yeah, he
Oh,
hasn't
he
got
does?
silent yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and in fact, he isn't really Snake Eyes even at the end. I mean, it says G.I.
Right.
Joe Origins. He doesn't quite
Getting
get all the way
there,
there because you need sequels, don't you? So
Right.
Right,
this
right,
is a
right.
franchise. But it does have a story to it. It's quite good. It does what you want it to. It's entertaining enough. It rips along, and it's good. And now, in terms of home cinema, there are some sequences in it which a lot of reviewers have said are reference grade. And I'm thinking one particular sequence in the middle, which is there's a fight sequence in a rainy Tokyo back street. And so you've got the neon signs, you've got the blackness of the night, you've got the rain, and then obviously they're quite bright colored costumes, and there's a sort of sword fight, gunfight, and that looks and sounds very nice indeed, and really does show off the 4K. So that's really good, and there's some nice stuff towards the end. There's some quite big action scenes. So it's a solid 4K disc. I'm not sure I'd call it reference, because to me reference means all the way through, not just individual sequences. For me personally, if you're going to say it's a reference disc, it needs to be all the way through. And I'm
For
not
a
sure
reference
there is-
disc, but you can have reference
Yeah.
scenes or something
can,
that you're
you
like, hey, if somebody comes in my theater, I got to pull this up. That's reference, right?
But this has been referred to as a reference disc from a number of reviewers, and I'm not quite
That's
sure I'm
tough, yeah.
there. But it's a very, very solid one. And by now, I mean, Kaleidescape in particular, Deej, but also I'm sure, John, if you're picking up a bargain, it'll be very, very cheap now.
Oh, I own it.
And well worth. Oh, great. So have you watched it?
I own it. I've watched it. Yeah, I watched it last year when I bought it.
Look at you
So what
guys.
did you think? Sorry, I
and
didn't
feel-
realize. Sorry, forgive me. I
Yeah,
didn't realize.
no, it's fine. I feel pretty much the same. Like it's a very serviceable story. Like I didn't go into it with super high expectations either. I just wanted a fun kind of action movie, and that's what it is. It delivers on that. I'm not super into the G.I. Joe mythos, but I was a kid. I played with the toys and read the comics. So, but yeah, I agree. It was a lot of fun, and I don't think it was a reference disc either, but it had some pretty good scenes. I'm trying. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I'm remembering like fighting in a tunnel on cars and some kind of scene there that was pretty good. If I'm remembering the right.
Could have
movie.
been Bloodshot,
you
but
are. No, you
okay.
are.
Yeah. Well, Bloodshot as well, but no, this was
Right.
Yeah, they're kind of on different vehicles and having some fights in it, which that was a pretty good scene too, if I from what I recall. But yeah. I agree.
It's solid. Yeah, it's worth a watch. I think you'd really enjoy it, Deej. If you like the other ones, I think you'd really like.
Well-
if you're into that kind of thing, you'd like it.
Let me tell you my background. Snake Eyes, my favorite character in G.I. Joe.
yeah.
Loved him growing
should
up.
be.
Loved the entire idea of him in the cartoon, right?
Right.
had the little figure, had all of that, and I was probably, what were we, John, like 15 when these things came out?
We were a little bit older. That was
Yeah.
84, 85.
85, yeah. We were older. My brother's 4 years younger than me.
Just
so he
getting
was
out of the Star Wars phase, and that was coming in.
Yeah. But loved Snake Eyes. So when this thing came out, I didn't get an opportunity to see it in the theater. I don't even know if this made it to a theater, to be honest with you, because that was right around that time. So I bought the digital release when that came out. I think I started it, but I was going to watch it. Another one of those ones that I was going to watch with my son. So I was like, oh. Then the disc came out. I bought the disc. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to... Nope. Didn't get to that one either.
Haven't watched it.
Then it came out on Kaleidescape. I own it there.
So you've bought it 3 times. You haven't watched
Not as many
it.
as Bloodshot.
I mean,
Not as many as Bloodshot.
we're definitely getting a sequel now.
So
Because you tripled the box office.
So when
all
I
by
saw this
yourself.
show up on Steve's list, I was like, yay!
Maybe I'll have some motivation to go watch
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I'm
Did you
just
see
like,
it? Did you watch it?
no. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen the beginning of it, the very beginning of it, with him and his brother, and they're younger, right? That's about it.
yeah.
Like the first 5 or 10 minutes I've seen, and I wanted to wait. I was just wanted to see how it played, like what was, because you can get a little bit in the first 10 minutes on home theater wise, right? You can get your contrast and your sound, your dynamics of all that. So I wanted to get a feel for that, but then I was holding off to watch it with my son because we both, it was one of the popcorn movies we wanted to watch together. Obviously never got to it, but I own it. Every time there was an upgrade, I bought it because I'm like, well, I'm not going to go and watch the digital now. It's on disc, so I need to have the disc, right? But then I get the Kaleidescape. I'm not going to watch that when I can do this. I'm like, what the heck?
It's funny how those films do come out, don't they? I mean, again, how long it took me to see it. I mean, I've had it months and months and months. And on my little app, on the My Movies app that I put my discs on when I get them so that I can see them visually, every now and then a disc will pop up and it says the date that it was added. And I can see, and that one had been there for, 8 months. Right. And again, you're just thinking, well, at some point you just think, well, why did I buy it? Right. If I'm not going to watch it, why bother?
Right. Oh,
but
yeah.
That was the motivation to finally see it. And I'm glad I've seen it. I don't think there'll be another one because I think a lot of people felt the same as we did, which is, oh, yeah, there's a Snake Eyes movie, yay. And then just forgot all about it a week later.
Right.
So I doubt there's going to be another one.
No, I don't think. I think we would have heard by now if there was a second one on the way.
Yeah. Yep. Oh well. All right. Should I go next?
Go on.
Well,
Let's get to this one.
Yeah, I say you and Steve can talk about it.
Which one? Oh, I was gonna pick one another one. Let's talk about a little holiday festive and getting into the animation theme. My wife and I watched The Polar Express. We have neither of us had ever seen it.
Oh, okay.
Well, what did you make of it?
I really, really enjoyed it. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. I loved the story of it. I loved the holiday theme, everything about it. I loved the story, but home theater wise, I really liked it. I saw it in 4K on the Kaleidescape. It's DTS Master Audio 5.1. Obviously, we upmix that. But what I found to be really interesting is, I think it was somebody recently told me that it doesn't hold up. It's because it's so old. They said the graphics don't hold up. I found it fascinating, and I thought it looked fantastic. Oh, there's another one I got to put on the list that it's not on, that you guys can't see. I haven't mentioned yet too. Another animated feature, because of the Polar Express. You have to keep in mind how old this movie is. It's almost 20 years old. It came out in 2004. The technology that they had then for this type of animation wasn't what it is today. But when you keep that in mind and you give it the credit that it's due, I think that the graphics in this really hold up. And I think the 4K actually enhances that. Because you get, with that HDR, you get every texture, every nuance that they were able to deliver back then. And with that in mind, I think it can give you a newer appreciation for the technology that they had. It's, their faces and their eyes and the way they look, it doesn't look as good as what they can do today. No question about it. But what they were doing back then, and this was one of the things that was able to get them to where we are today. And you can see all of there's so many nuances to this movie in the picture. I'm talking that, like, some glows and highlights and sparkles and things even just their eyes. I know people don't like the way they look around, and that's a joke in other movies that we'll talk about in a little bit. But they didn't have it all, no doubt about it, but they still made, the skin looked like dry skin or dry, but eyes, and John knows this when we used to do our drawings, like, how do you make the eyeball look wet? It's like your eyeballs are supposed to have a sparkle, a twinkle to them. It's supposed to look wet, but your forehead isn't unless you're sweating. So there's a way to do that. Well, they were able to do different things like that and give you different textures of stuff. And I thought it was great watching it like that. And that has nothing to do with the, holiday theme around the entire story, which I really, really enjoyed. Again, don't know why I hadn't seen it until now, but glad I did. And I think it's a great home theater movie that I think people, as the years go on, this will be something that you show your grandchildren and you'll be like, this was, as the older it gets, I think the more appreciation you can actually have for it, especially in the 4K and whatever Ks we get in the future. Right. So, all right. What do we got next? Who wants to go?
I can go, John, if you want.
I guess, yeah, I can go. Next up for me is Pinocchio. Netflix. This was 4K Dolby Atmos. Yeah, this is not your dad's Pinocchio. I know you haven't seen it, DJ. Did you see it, Steve?
No, this is the Guillermo del Toro version. Isn't
Yes, it? Yeah, it is. So this takes place in World War II Italy. So it's very fascist. There's lots of Nazis, lots of.
Is it animated?
Heil Hitler's going on. It is animated,
okay.
And it's stop motion animation. So this was like really, really intense to put together. From what I understand.
So like a Rudolph?
I guess, yeah.
Rudolph is a German name,
right? From what I understand, it was all done, stop motion and. Was really time consuming. It looked CG, it kind of has a CGI look and feel to it. So I don't know, that I might be wrong on that, but I could have sworn I read or heard that somewhere. But anyways, very different take on the Pinocchio story. The root themes are there, obviously, like the high points from what we would have seen from Disney. I don't know how this relates back to the original book or story, because I'm sure this comes from a fairy tale that was not as happy and cheery as what Disney did with it. But yeah, it was kind of dark at times, like, Guillermo del Toro, right? So it wasn't definitely not your Disney Pinocchio. Home theater wise, it's just fine. It's not that type of movie where you have a lot of Dolby Atmos effects going on, and there's a lot of music. There's some musical numbers that sound pretty good. Visually, though, it looks great. And yeah, like I said, pretty different take on the story, but I liked it. I've heard differing opinions on it. Some people really, really liked it. Say it's a masterpiece. I don't know if I'd go that far. And then some people really didn't like it. But I think it was well worth the watch, and I enjoyed it. My wife watched it with me. I haven't actually had it. I didn't really ask her after we finished, so I'm not really sure if she liked it or not. Sometimes we'll sit. Well, sometimes we'll talk about it after we see it. Yeah. Other times we won't. We'll just watch a movie and then we'll go on to the next thing. So it's not one that we really discussed. So I don't know if she if she enjoyed it or not. But I don't know. Like I said, I thought it was really good, and like I said, visually it's great. The technology I thought looked great. The animation. So, yeah. I recommend it. I think you should give it a watch. So.
Cool. That was one we were thinking of doing, and then you were saying it's kind of not my dad. Maybe I wouldn't do it with Jen, but we'll do it. It's
not. I mean, like I said, it's a little dark, because again, there's a lot of Nazism going on. They're going to war for the wrong side. As far as we're concerned. So, but that's what would happen. Like if you were a young boy growing up in Italy, you're being fed this rhetoric, and you believe just as much as we believed that you're going to do the right thing. But, so you're watching it through that lens, and because there is a lot of that. Like he enlists, and he's like, he's going to go to war. So that's not something you would see in the Disney version of it.
Right.
So,
yeah. So Pinocchio / All Quiet on the Western Front.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Featuring a jackboot Jimmy Cricket.
Right. Yeah, which was Ewan McGregor was Jiminy Cricket. Was the Jiminy Cricket character, and I believe Finn Wolfhard was Pinocchio, and both did a great job.
Nice.
Ewan McGregor, you can't ever go wrong, and he's the levity. The Jiminy Cricket character is kind of like the conscious, but the humor. He brings the humor to it. So. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Good. Who's next? Steve?
Okay, we'll quickly do Amistad then, because this is one you would have seen that I'm sure that I had not seen until very recently. This is another one of those missing Spielberg movies that that I just sort of passed me by. I was aware of it. I knew it was out, but I hadn't seen it. And I think I bought this months and months and months ago on a special edition Blu-ray that was released over here. And having seen Emancipation, I think I was just kind of in that frame of mind. And I thought I'd give this a go. It's really good. As a film, it really does work its kind of its story. It's a Spielberg movie through and through. Fantastic cast. You've got Matthew McConaughey, Morgan Freeman. You've got all the Djimon Hounsou, who learnt a whole other language, literally, for this movie. And it's a true story. Based on these slaves who essentially revolted against their masters on a ship, and the ship essentially comes ashore in the US, and there then becomes a lengthy legal battle as to whether these slaves are property, and if they are property, to whom do they belong? The Queen of Spain says they belong to her because it was a Spanish ship. The US says, well, no, they belong to us. And then there are a group who say, well, no, they should be freed, because they're not property, they're people. And it's a fascinating, really well-told story, which is quite graphic for a Spielberg movie at the beginning. It's quite graphic. The revolt at the beginning is revolting. And, there is actually, blood and guts and violence in this, which I'm not used to seeing with Spielberg. Even Jaws doesn't quite, go this far. But it's really good. It's a very well-told story. And as a movie, it's well worth seeking out. And don't let the kind of the legal battle perhaps put you off, which it did me. For ages I thought, it's going to be really weighty and hard to watch, and I'm not, and I'm always wary of the American legal dramas because I don't know much about the system. But it's very good. It's really well done. And in terms of home theatre, video-wise, it's a movie from the 90s. It looks like it's from the 90s. It's not, it's not going to blow your mind in terms of how it looks. But the audio's decent. The Neuralex, it's DTS-HD upmixed to Neuralex. But the Neuralex is actually quite good. And there are some nice crowd sequences. You get some envelopment. There are bells ringing and wind blowing and all that kind of stuff. And so actually it's not bad at all. And worth watching. Again, if you've already bought it, if you've got it in your collection, if you haven't seen it, as I hadn't, then it's worth watching when you're in that frame of mind. But it's not as dry or as dour as I think it looks from the from the thing. And there are a couple of barnstorming monologues from Anthony Hopkins, who is playing. It's an ex-president. I can't think who it is. I've forgotten who it is. But he does a couple of really really sort of Shakespearean monologues to the court, which are fantastic, and apparently did them in one take. So it's it's worth it probably just for
Yeah,
that.
just
You know,
that.
the craft is there. Yeah, it's great. So I recommend that. Have you either of you guys seen it? I don't know if you have or
No,
No.
I've owned that. I don't own it on Kaleidescape. I've pretty much owned it everywhere. Same idea. But this is one of
But you
those.
haven't-
Well, because I knew it's one that I wanted and I want in my collection. But after Schindler's List, Spielberg, Schindler's List, that whole thing, that heavy thing. It's like you said, Steve. It's you have to be in that right frame of mind.
Yeah.
And when do I want to get into that? And like you said, if you're saying it's not as heavy-handed as it appears, like I had, you watch the trailer for this, and I'm picturing like Schindler's List. I'm picturing, like you said, and then, you were just talking about Emancipation, and you're like, I know that was out before it, but that idea, going in, it's like, all right, let's sit down and do this, and that. I really, it takes a lot for me to get to sit down and do that because I'm like, So, but I have owned it. It's one, especially Spielberg. It's any of these things. You want to have it in your collection, and when you'll get to it someday, but I just haven't.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those Oscar bait worthy movies,
Exactly.
aren't they? They're these ones that you kind of know what you're going to get. It's a historical epic, the kind of thing, but it is more accessible than that. I think it's almost done a disservice by that comparison, and I thought that the same. I mean, that's why I hadn't seen it until now. But it's better than that. It's more interesting than that.
Cool.
And it never goes quite as dark as Schindler's List ever did. I mean, I'd forgotten about that. To be fair, that's Spielberg at his absolute,
Darkest.
We're going to show you reality. That this is what it's going to be, even more than Private Ryan, I would say. Because Schindler's List is just like, look, I'm going to put a camera here, and you're going to see these events, and you're going to see what it was like, and you are going to watch this.
Yeah.
And you are going to feel what these people felt. You're going to feel that fear. You're going to feel that isolation. You're going to feel what they went through. And this doesn't go there. You get a little bit at the beginning, but then it really moves more towards then the courtroom and how they do it. And it really is worth seeing.
Cool. All right. John, you want to go next?
Sure. Well, I'm just going to lump my next two together, really.
Yeah.
Because it's basically the extended edition Middle-earth epic of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So this is our Christmas tradition for us. We've done it for the last couple of years now. We usually take the week up between Christmas and New Year's off, my wife and I, and we've watched these movies. Now, this is the first time I've had my projector and my my screen and my mini DSP and all of this other stuff in place. And these are just glorious, man. I mean, they're just I think these are reference discs.
Yep.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
Now we watched them in order. So we watched The Hobbit, then we watched The Lord of the Rings.
You went backwards.
Yeah.
You
We watched
went in
them
chronological
we watched
order,
them
not release.
we watched them in chronological order. And so watching the newer movies first, they do look better. Like the visually now, audio wise, they're the same. Like they're all great. Visually, the Hobbit movies, they just look better. They were I think filmed with newer technology and with 4K in mind, where the original movies were not.
Well, they were shot digitally, actually, weren't they?
Right, and they were shot digitally. Yeah. But that doesn't take away from the Lord of the Rings movies either. Like, there's some scenes in there where they kind of go in and out. There's some DNR in like some of the Minas Tirith scenes in Return of the King, even in Helm's Deep, some of that. But still, these are. I mean, they're never going to look better than they do here. And I mean, everybody's seen them, so I don't really know what else to say about them. But I really felt like I was experiencing these again, like I saw them in the theater. With big screen, big audio. Had these things cranked up. We watched the 4-hour cuts of every movie, know, and they're just epics. And I honestly can't wait to do it again next year.
Yeah, I know.
They're just so good.
That was
there's some nitpicks to them, as far as the, especially the Lord of the Rings movies. But I don't find them like I thought they were great.
They're good.
Yeah.
They're so good. It's like
Yeah.
I'm like jealous because like I remember back in was it August, September, I went through
You were
them,
watching some of them,
and I'm like, I'm gonna do this again in December. I couldn't wait to do it, and then December came, and I just done them, and I've got other things to do, so I didn't get to it this year. But it is one of my traditions to do that, and it was, they're so good. And it's like, now I'm going to try to wait for next year and the holidays and do that again.
And we did one a day. Like, we had other things we did this week, and they're long movies. But there was a couple of days where we could have squeezed in the next movie.
Right.
But I didn't want to. Like,
I
started on Tuesday. I started on Tuesday, so I would finish on Sunday, and I went back to work Monday. So, I mean, I specifically planned it out so that, we were going to finish on Sunday. And
awesome.
I didn't want to jump the gun because there was one day where we were just like, we're not going to go out today. We're just going to stay in. I put the first movie on at like 9 a.m. So there was definitely time to squeeze another one in, but I just didn't. Yeah, like I said, I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to space them out.
That's cool.
We watched some other stuff instead. I watched a few things that didn't make the list too because they just weren't that good. But although one thing that didn't make my list because it's not an HT thing. But if you haven't seen it, the new Charlie Cox show, Treason, on Netflix was really good.
I hadn't seen that.
It was a really good show. It just didn't really make the cut for me as far as...
I did see that, and I actually saw just the graphic for it. And I was
it's only 5 episodes,
Charlie
like
Cox?
a quick thing. Yeah, it's a quick thing. It's 5 episodes, so it's
cool.
Not going to take a lot of time. But I thought it was really good, story-wise. So
cool. All right. I'll do my next one. Off of the Polar Express. I was telling my brother about it, and he was laughing at that whole eyeball. Now, he makes a living doing graphics and everything like that, so he was laughing at Polar Express and the way their eyes never look at you. They're always like looking everywhere else. Mm-hmm. And he's like, have you seen Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers? The new animated.
I actually heard good things about that movie.
It's
but
fantastic. My wife and I loved it. Did you see it, Steve?
I've seen most of it. It was all right.
It's so fun.
I didn't watch it in the cinema room. I watched it in the lounge over lunch one day with age appropriate people, and it was okay.
I heard it was good, but
it's
fun.
It's fun. There's a lot of Easter eggs in it to other movies for the adults, right? And it's a fun movie to sit down and like with an age appropriate person, and they get their stuff, and then you get your stuff. And as a home theater, it's actually pretty good as well. It's the graphics are good because I can't remember which Chip or Dale, but they even say it's in the trailer, and he's like, "I've had the 3D makeover,
the 3D upgrade."
Yeah, it's the 3D upgrade. It's fantastic, and the jokes that they do on all that, and there's even, like I said, in the movie, one of the Easter eggs is they make fun of the Polar Express. And the graphics, they run into a character that's drawn like the Polar Express.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the guy's looking at him like this. He's talking to him, but they're the chipmunks. They're down on the ground, but he's looking out like this. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I think it's voiced by Seth Rogen, if I'm not mistaken. But he's like, "What are you talking about?" "I'm looking right at you." And they're like, "No, we're down here." And it's so funny. But there's a lot of stuff like that. And definitely, Steve, give it a shot in your theater. Put it up, crank it up, and just have fun with it. It's my wife and I were cracking up. We had so much fun with it. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. And again, getting back into my animation that I love animation. I grew up on animation. I love to draw. Why wouldn't I do this? And I've been missing it for like 15 years. So it was a good one. So, all right. What's next for you, Steve?
Do you want to do the blue cats, or should we leave the blue cats to last?
The what? Which one's that?
The blue space cats. Do we want to do those next? The Navi Avatar.
Oh yeah.
Do that?
Go ahead. Knock yourself out. Let's do it.
All right. Right. Okay. So you bring the bright side. I'll bring the miserable side.
You haven't seen it yet, John?
I don't plan to see it. honestly.
Wow.
No intention.
Someone's gone more miserable than I did.
Yeah.
I might see it at home, but I'm not the biggest fan of the first one, and really
Then you
have
wouldn't
no-
like it.
have no interest in it. I'll catch it at home. I won't see it in 3D, so I don't know if that'll take away anything from it. But
Go ahead,
Right,
Steve.
so-
Avatar,
so
the Way of Water.
Oh yeah. So Blue Cats in Space. Okay, so the first film, just a bit of context. I really like the first one. I've seen it many times. I've seen it in theaters. I've seen it in 3D on multiple TVs, including the fairly sizable one I've got now, which is one of the last 3D TVs that were released. And I really like the first one. And prior to seeing this, I saw this on a Monday, and I saw the original one again on the Sunday, and had a great time with it. This was the director's cut. Thought it was great. Now, so I then went in to see this. Now, here's the problem, and unfortunately, at the moment, it's inextricably linked, the film with the technology for me. Now, I hate with a passion HFR, high frame rate. I don't like it at all. To me, it makes everything look ultra fake because it looks ultra real. Now I know that sounds weird.
You've gone so far forward, you're now backwards.
I'm back. Well, quite yes.
Yeah.
Now the reason I say that, I saw that, talking about the Hobbit, I saw the Desolation of Smaug in HFR, and that was 2014. Yeah, sorry, Christmas 2013, and I found it incredibly distracting. Everything looked fake. Everything looked like it was a set. Everything just looked like it was a cutscene from a video game, the whole movie. And since then, I have deliberately avoided HFR on everything. I didn't see Gemini Man, even though I know it's available on Blu-ray and non-HFR. I stayed away from it. Billy Lynn's Long Time Walk, I saw about 2 minutes of it, and again, I'm like, I can't do this. So I went to see this one, and then on the Monday, the showing as advertised was Avatar: Way of Water 2D. So we go in, sit down. The movie starts. As soon as the Fox logo came up, and you get that moving pan, it was very smooth, and I thought, oh no, and I was just saying, no, maybe it's just a new logo, maybe they've just changed it. No, it's not. You're all good, but no. So then unfolds for the next 3.25 hours of my life that I won't get back. A mixture, a bastardized, homogenized Frankenstein's monster of a movie, which is, it's going from HFR to 24 frames per second, back to HFR, on and on and on for 3 and a bit hours. It was horrible. And now, I saw it with 3 people. The other 2 people didn't even notice it. So it's only me. Okay, now I know that, and I know this.
Oh yeah.
But it was dreadful, and I was so distracted by it. Again, look, I know that this is incredible effects work. I get that, and but again, every time it goes to HFR, it looks like a video game cutscene. It looks like it's so real, it's fake. Even again, the blue cats, they look amazing. The Na'vi look great. But it's so distractingly fake with the background that I just could not get into it. And I hated the experience. And unfortunately, then that affects the film. So I didn't enjoy the movie. I thought it was overlong. I thought it was trite. I couldn't tell one character from another. And if I had to hear Zoe Saldana say, "Ma Jake," one more time, I was going to scream, because it's just like, in the story, they're apparently 10 years on, and she's still calling him Ma Jake, right, which I find very odd, and has become a bit of a joke with people that I saw it with ever since. Everyone now and while, someone will go, "Ma Jake," and everyone will start laughing. So unfortunately, I was let down by the fact that the screening was not advertised as HFR. If I'd known that, I wouldn't have seen it. And if that was the only way to see it, I would have waited for video, same as you, John. And I am praying, not quite literally, but I am praying that the Disney Plus version at least is going to be in 24 frames per second. I'm hoping that the 4K disc will be, and I'll say it now as I said it on Twitter after I'd seen it. If they release this in only HFR or the mixed homogenized version, I will never see this film again, because I am not sitting through that again.
Right.
I'm not. I'm hoping they'll release it normally, and then I can watch it again, and hopefully I'll enjoy it.
Now, is
That's
it
what I've
that
got to
way?
say about that.
Is that the only way you can see it in the theaters, though?
Well, that appears to be.
I don't know.
Well,
Yeah, 'cause I haven't
this is
seen
the thing. James Cameron has said it's in HFR and 24 frames per second, and it switches between the two. Now, as far as I know, that's the only way you can see it. Either all HFR in 3D or HFR 2D, and it mixes between the two. And if that is the case, then the home video version, I'm hoping it won't, because of course most people's TVs on Disney Plus would not play it.
Right, Disney
just
Plus
wouldn't show
probably
it.
won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed, I mean, So I was just floored by how bad it looked. Now I know that's an outlying opinion. Deej, you can now correct me and tell me why I'm wrong. But I just, it was so distracting. It was horrible. Anyway.
Okay. I'm not going to correct you. VJ agrees with you in the stream. VJ says, I agree, Steve. HFR makes everything look so fake. See, here's the thing. I'm not going to disagree with you. Yeah, HFR makes things look different. Let's put it that way, right? Mm-hmm. My contention going to like Gemini Man and Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, now Avatar, any of these, high frame rate things. If my contention is, if movies were shot like this from the beginning, this is what we would be used to.
Right.
Right? So that's the part that I have trouble with when people go, this is wrong. Well, no, it's not wrong. It's just different. Right? And it's like neither 24 or 60, or in this case, Avatar is actually 48, I believe. So whatever it is, high frame rate, 24 frames per second. If we went back to 24, people would be like, this is weird. Doesn't feel right. It's like the other one's more lifelike. Neither of them are accurate to what we actually experience in real life. But you know what that's my point. It's like neither of us is wrong. Nobody's wrong. And what I like is that artists are trying to push this. They're not push it on us, but they're trying to push the envelope. They're trying to create something, create a buzz, create a talk, do something. I mean, you have different artists working in oil painting and they're only painting the left side of the face, but they flattened it out. That doesn't make sense. That's not the way it's supposed to be. No, it's an interpretation. That's all they're doing here. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I eat this stuff up because I like to see technology used in different ways. Who knows what this is going to expand on the next artist? What can I do with this, right? Cameron has his takes. Ang Lee has his takes. People are doing different things with different, you have Christopher Nolan has his takes. And then other people take these things and then they make their own things. And that's what I think is fun about it. Avatar: The Way of Water. I've only seen it in 3D. I didn't see it in 2D like you did with the variable aspect ratios. Not aspect ratio, frame rates, right?
Frame rates, yeah.
That maybe I wouldn't enjoy that either. Because like you and, most of the people listening, we do have an eye for this stuff. And you'd be like, oh, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. That would be distracting. Watching this in 3D was absolutely mesmerizing to me. It was, my wife, not a big fan of 3D. She said she gets headaches. She does this, does that. She enjoyed this movie. She was like, that was fantastic. I think that's where the high frame rate pays off, because in a standard 3D movie at a lower frame rate, it can, with both of your eyes going, it can bother some people. It can, I have 3D in my theater. I'm hoping I can get this in high frame rate in my theater. I don't know if we have those capabilities at home, but you can only watch so much 3D in your own home because it does. There's a fatigue there. This one over 3 hours long, and you're like, it was fantastic. The story, much like the first one, there's really not much to really break down here. It's John, if you didn't like the first one, you're not going to like this one. If you love the first one, which you did, Steve, when this comes out on Disney Plus in 24 frames per second the entire time, I have a feeling you're going to be like, I love the story. There's a gigantic father-son story here that I absolutely loved, from beginning to end. And when I've seen it twice now, in the second viewing, knowing the entire story, when you open up in the first story, you're like, oh wow, okay, there's some nuggets there that really pull on you. Now, I saw this once in Showcase Cinema X Plus, which has Dolby Atmos with your nice recliners. You pick your own seat and everything. But like I've said all the time on this podcast, I'm like, the audio there it's not as good, because you've got your own row. You can get up and go to the bathroom, plenty of room. You're not really blocking anybody's view because of the way they divided it out. But now you're divided from those speakers. Okay. So the audio there just isn't as good. Went to see it at IMAX at Jordan's Furniture. Old school. General admission. You buy your ticket, get there early, wait in line, because this movie was pretty much during all of Christmas break was sold out. So you had to buy it, and I bought mine well in advance, but I kept going. Every time you went there, sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out. You get in line, you get in there, old school. You're sitting in a chair that's probably smaller than this chair I'm sitting in right now, and there's no space between you and the people in front of you. You're like upright. The room is wider than it is deep. It's a obviously giant screen. That was a nice experience. I can't say, sorry, Carl, I can't say that this is what I want to do all the time, but it was nice. Okay. The sound there, mixed bag here. This is where it gets real interesting, I think, especially for home theater nerds like us. The high-end sounds, the pans and everything were absolutely top-notch. And I'm saying that for an IMAX theater. It was fantastic. You could hear everything anytime something went by you. You heard it pan across the back of the room. You heard it pan across the front to rear, left to right, all that fun stuff. Great. The bass, horrible. Absolutely horrible. Because they were relying on the seat transducers. So, in our theaters, when like a gunshot goes off and you feel it in your chest, you didn't feel anything. All you did was get a in your seat. So like anything, there's a lot of water and crashing waves. A wave crashes. Somebody fires a weapon. Everything's up through your seat. Whereas in our theaters, in a good theater, bass can manipulate you in different ways depending on the bass note. Like we were talking earlier about with Hans Zimmer, you get that, that's going to vibrate up through your seat. But you get a good bass from a bass drum or something, you're going to feel that in your chest. You had none of that. So that was very disappointing. But because they had drowned out what appeared to be everything audibly under 300 hertz, it felt like you were able to hear everything else perfectly clear, so the pans all worked. I can't wait to get this at home in all the different versions and whatever we're capable of having at home. I'm looking forward to just the 4K high frame rate. I think I want that entire thing in high frame rate, like Gemini Man. Looking forward to it. So, I think, it's fun. It gets people talking. So,
yeah. As I said, if it's HFR, I'm not watching this film again. I will not. I'm not putting myself through that again. But let's see. I don't think it will be. I don't think Disney Plus is capable of that.
Plus, I think it would be silly not to give people that option. You're shorting yourself. Right? It's like, if people don't want to watch that, and you're not wrong. There's a ton of people that think this. And it's if you do not agree with that and you don't like it, why wouldn't you just give that up? I mean, I'm pretty sure that it's not that difficult a thing to lower the frame rates on your entire movie. I mean, with all the technology they have, you got to be able to take out information. So
it's just whether Cameron will let them. I wonder whether Cameron will be like,
right,
you either show it this way or you don't show it.
He does like money, so.
Well, yeah, but he's had his money.
Yeah, true.
The problem I think that the reason I don't think they will release it in HFR only, at least on Disney Plus, is because most people's TVs wouldn't display it. You know, a lot of TVs just won't run that, so they're not going to want loads of complaints from parents saying my little Johnny can't watch Avatar because when he puts it on, there's a black screen. You know,
Do they even has anything come out streaming in high frame rate?
No, I don't.
Not that I know.
Yeah.
So I
don't think the stream can handle it.
Exactly.
The data would be.
You're doubling the frames.
Yeah.
It's like that's
the data
talk
would be
about.
crazy.
They're already compressing bandwidth. You're going to double your frames.
That's why I think any digital stream will probably be
24.
I'll give
30.
it another go.
24,
If it's in 24 frames per second, I will definitely give it another go because I want to like it. You know, I'm not someone who set out to dislike it, but as I said, if it's HFR only, I'm not doing that again. And I can only hope that you know, moving forward, that decisions made to you know, cater it for more people more clearly. Because I'm over 3D. I don't. It's very rare now that I watch something in 3D, even though I've got that capability. I prefer 4K. I prefer the brightness and the sharpness of those images, as I've said before. So I can't. I just feel like I'm doing myself a disservice by watching it in 3D now because I'm just not on board with it anymore. And I've got over 200 3D movies still. You know, they're in the collection, just sat there because I'm hoping one day, not in the not too distant future, we'll have glasses free 3D, and these may well be backwards compatible with it. And I've had some nudge in that direction from someone that would know. So you know,
that's what I was hoping this movie was for, but
well, quite. But I've had a little nudge and a wink in that direction, suggesting that 3D Blu-ray might be backwards compatible with glasses free 3D. So this is the only reason I'm keeping hold of them, because I just do not want to watch more 3D stuff if I can avoid it.
Right.
But you know, and for similar reasons to Jen, you know, people that just don't like it that I watch movies with, don't like it having to wear glasses and 3D glasses and you know all the rest of it.
Right.
So yeah, but there we go. But like I said, hopefully I'll like it more the second time round. It wouldn't be the first time.
There you go. All right. What do we have next?
Violent Night. Should we quickly do that?
Let's do that one quick.
Okay, so do you want to do that one?
Yeah. You didn't see it, John, did you?
No.
Okay. What did you think of that, Steve?
I thought the film was great. I enjoyed it way more than I expected. It was great fun from minute one.
It is bordering on a horror movie.
Yeah, I thought it was more Bad Santa and Die Hard.
Yes.
You know, mixed together and kind of just...
definitely.
Actually, no, Bad Santa, Die Hard, and John Wick, all mixed together, you know, and just given a kind of modern spin. I thought it was very good indeed. I had
literal nods all the way through to those. Definitely Die Hard too. But I mean, it literally is like almost like they took the Die Hard story and they were like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna substitute instead of John McClane or Wick, we're going to have it be this character, which was, I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but I thought as an action movie, as a fun, it is gross. They don't pull any punches. There's quite literally, it is Violent Night. I mean, it is all the violence, sledgehammers, guns, all sorts of weapons that you wouldn't want to see people hit with or cut with or shot with. I mean, it is bad, but it's fun. It is so much fun. And that's where you get into the John Wick part.
Yeah, the very knowing winks and the jokes and everything else. I thought it was very funny. The only thing I thought was slightly odd is randomly it starts in Bristol, England, which is the place that's near to where I live, and I can assure you that's not Bristol. Not even close. And
You're
I don't
such
know why
a stickler for that
with
stuff.
Bristol. They never talk about it again. They never mention it again. Why they went with Bristol? The only way I could get to Bristol. This is right at the beginning, so it's not a spoiler. Literally, first frame of the movie, is because when David Harbour was shooting Hellboy, loads of that was shot in Bristol. Lots of that was shot here because there's lots of old, hall alleyways and things that they used for Hellboy. And so he would have been here for probably a couple of months. And all I can think of is that he said, "Oh well, let's have Bristol," because I liked Bristol.
I like Bristol
because I can't think of any other link to it at all. It's just bizarre.
That's a good
very,
one.
Very good. Yeah. So I don't know. That's a complete conjecture on my part. But yeah, I can't really review the home cinema side of it because like I say, I watched it on a screener, so this was not in proper. This was Dolby Surround, but it's upmixed from a pretty poor track. But it was still fascinatingly fun and a great movie, and I can't wait to own it. This will become a yearly holiday film for me all day long. So I'm looking forward to that. And if anyone hasn't seen it, when it comes out in the spring, which will be weird,
right?
But when it comes out in the spring, then buy several copies as DJ would, and then watch it watch it come December. Perhaps buy
it
one a
in
month.
every format and then don't watch it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And then wait till
For 7
year
months.
after next.
Yeah.
Anybody can just buy one copy and watch it once.
Right.
It takes something special to buy multiple copies and not see it.
And then not watch them. Yeah.
Right.
So it's great and definitely worth seeing. And I absolutely recommend that.
I
I'm glad
recommend
you enjoyed it too, Deej, because I wasn't sure if you would.
Oh, it's fun. It is so much fun. And in 4K Atmos, it's out on Kaleidescape already. And I couldn't pass that up. I heard some reviews of people seeing it in the theater, how much fun it was, and I was like, oh, I got to take this in. So, yeah, when it comes out, I don't rush right out and buy it, especially if it comes out, like you said, in the spring. Like, nice holiday feature right after you're done with your Lethal Weapons, your First Bloods, and Diehards,
Diehards.
Yeah, it's like, 1 and 2 both take place on Christmas Eve. Much like Violent Night takes place on Christmas Eve, so another holiday movie. Highly recommend. Great fun home theater experience. But yeah, not for mixed company and children. So,
No.
all right. I can't wait. John, how far did you get into this is your last one, right?
Yeah, this is my last one, and this could come up for the next several weeks, obviously.
Oh, goody.
It's going to take me a while. So we started a rewatch of Game of Thrones. This is really the second time I've ever seen it. Like, I've only ever seen it once on HBO as they aired. So this is my first rewatch. Obviously, first time in 4K Dolby Atmos. This is the disc set that I bought. You look like something's going wrong.
Me? No.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
I'm just moving stuff around, making
I'm
sure
sorry,
we're
I
still
thought
recording.
maybe I cut out or something. So this is the first time I've watched these in this quality, or again with the big screen and all that. We're about halfway through season 2 right now, so we got a decent chunk into it, but obviously there's 8 seasons, so we've got a ways to go. One little slight picadillo with the discs that is irritating me every time I go to put it on is that it does not default to Dolby Atmos. It defaults to 5.1. So I have to go in every episode, and now there's 3 episodes per disc. So if I have time where I think I'm going to watch the whole disc, you can just set it and hit play all, and it'll go the way through. But if you don't do that, you have to set it for every episode. I never know if I'm going to get all the way through the whole disc, so I end up not doing it that way. So that's irritating. But other than that, again, these are... Now, I feel like I'm rewatching these for the first time in some cases because I forgot when things happened and how things happened. Like, there's things that are already happened that I didn't think came until like season 6.
Right.
Yeah. But the quality is unbelievable. Like, it looks so good. It sounds so good. And yeah, all the issues that you have. Now, again, we haven't even gotten to season 8 yet with the long night and all that stuff.
Long night, episode 3.
But it's a dark show from start to finish.
That's what I was going to say.
And so all the issues that you have streaming or HBO, back then it was just HBO. It wasn't even HBO Max. I was watching it on DirecTV. They are not there. Like, the discs look phenomenal. The detail, now, again, the Panasonic UB820 is what I used to watch them with. The tone mapping, I mean, it does a fantastic job with all of this stuff. But yeah, there's no issues with the video quality at all here. Like, I can see everything. I can, all the blacks look like I can distinguish the different blacks and, the armor and the clothes and all that stuff they're wearing. And again, it's like watching it for the first time all over again. Like, it's just having the big screen, having the audio, having the, the quality is, they're great. Like,
Yeah.
I can't wait to keep going into the later seasons. And I've actually, House of the Dragons will be here tomorrow. My discs, and I will probably go right into that once I'm done with this. But yeah, it's just unbelievable. I'm sure this won't be the last time it comes up.
Good.
Over the next couple of weeks, because it'll take me, I'm back to work now, so I'm not even going to be able to go through a season and a half, every week.
Right.
So, it'll take me, a couple of months to go through all of this. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's one of the ones we wanted to get back to, and just, we were done with Lord of the Rings, and there's like literally nothing on TV, nothing to stream. We started watching the new Witcher show, and that is just complete dog excrement. Like, it is garbage. So I was like, well, let's just go to the Game of Thrones. Let's just go and start watching that. And it's fantastic. So
Yeah. A lot of people.
And then on another note, don't watch The Witcher Blood Origin,
exactly.
because
I think we got that.
it is bad.
Yeah.
Like, bad. So
No, yeah, the Game of Thrones. We've always watched it with Atmos. I never did like you did, because we started with the Blu-rays, and that's why
you didn't watch it. Yeah.
Right. So I had the Atmos, but the 4K in the HDR, it's like everybody jumps to, and it rightfully so. It's season 8, episode 3, The Long Night. That is going to bring up. I mean, that's where you're pushing the envelope, much like House of the Dragons does. I love that. But going back and watching those early, like when they in episode 1, when what are the two characters, you're going through it right now, but the two buddies there, the king, and then he becomes the hand
Robert
of the king.
and Ned,
yeah. And they go into the caverns there, the catacombs, or
the
whatever.
crypts.
The crypts.
It's dark.
They're all dark, and now when you see it in 4K, you're like, holy crap! Look how deep it goes into. Before it was all shadow, and I was watching on a Blu-ray. Again, I didn't have my Lumagen at the time either, which that's going to enhance it. But 4K with all of that on a good display, there is so much information there that, like you said, I would say a good 60% you are seeing for the first time.
Right.
There was so much crushed and missing picture-wise that and what's fun is, like you're saying, John, like you're watching on a 123-inch screen, you're probably like this.
Yeah,
like,
it's amazing because it's so
around.
immersive. Like, right now it's it's all the Jon Snow with the greet, and they're lost in the snow, and it's just like everywhere. It's really, really good. So
what really pulls out of there too is their pacing of the show and the cinematography, where they'll go from a snow scene and then they'll go to like they'll end up in
then you're in King's Landing, or you're in
and you're in your living room going, why am I hot? Why am I hot?
Yeah. Well, and like Daenerys, she's like still kind of lost in the desert in Karth and all that stuff. So you go from the snow to the desert to
to King's Landing, which is like
King's Landing,
which is a humid
kind of
heat.
tropical.
Yeah, it's a humid heat to a dry.
It's a dry heat.
Oh, it's so. But the point is, like, the temperatures come across. And it's because it's done so well, and it is. It's so much fun. So can't wait to hear more.
Yeah.
Let me talk about I guess this is my last one, right? Yeah. How to Train Your Dragon. The first one from 2010, which has a nice Game of Thrones tie-in to it, because they came out with How to Train Your Dragon 3. I saw the trailer for that when it was coming out, and I was like, during the trailer, I was like, this looks good. And it's got, what's his name? Plays Jon Snow.
Kit Harington?
Kit Harington's in it. He's also in 2. I didn't know that. But I'm watching the trailer. This was years ago. Watching the trailer for How to Train Your Dragon 3. And at the end, it says, How to Train Your Dragon 3, coming soon. And I was like, there's 2 others?
Yeah. I didn't even know there was a 2.
I didn't know there was a 2. So I kind of wanted to, get into these. This was the first one that I picked when I said to my wife, I'm like, let's watch some animation. Absolutely. It's my favorite movie of the week.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Have either of you seen it?
I've never seen it. I've always kind of wanted to see it, but I've just never sat down to watch it. And I watch a lot of animation because I do like it.
Yeah.
But just kind of missed that one somewhere along the way.
I've got 1, 2, and 3 in 4K, and I had to import them from the States. They weren't out here for a long time, but yeah, no, they're good. They're all good films, and they get progressively more complex animation wise as they go on.
Yeah.
When you get to the third one, it just looks absolutely incredible. So yeah, they're really good, solid films. Yeah, they're good, entertaining movies. Yeah, and they are good.
I loved the first one. We wanted to get to the second one. I bought it, and it's sitting on the Kaleidescape right now. They're all in 4K, 5.1. I don't know if they advanced to Atmos in the later ones, but it's, DTS Master Audio. The story is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love the story. The message that it's great for kids. It's great for adults. It's just a great story. Home theater wise, I think it's fantastic. The 4K imagery is just beautiful. The sound, there's whooshes. I mean, when he's flying his Dragan, not to give anything away, but it's just so good. I can't wait to get to 2 and then eventually 3, and maybe they'll make a 4. Who knows? Now that I'm on board and I'm buying, I'm gonna buy all the copies.
Right, now that you've bought them all, you pushed them over the edge.
Exactly. But highly recommend it. And if you haven't seen it and you have kids, to me, it's practically a must own, because this is one. It's such a great family movie. It's such a great message. Awesome. And my favorite home theater experience of the holidays, and that includes Violent Night. So.
I've just been checking the all 3 on 4K disc are in DTS-X.
Okay.
Oh, on disc. Oh, see that?
Yeah. So just double checked.
Interesting.
I couldn't remember if they were in Atmos or not, but yeah, they're all 3. They're universal discs.
Yep.
So DTS-X, of course, is what they go for. So
That's awesome.
All 3 are in that. They are.
See?
Good. They are good.
Now, there you go. Now I do have to buy the discs and the Kaleidescape. I love that movie. Here we go. Down the rabbit hole I go. What do you... Oh, you still have 3 left, Steve.
Yeah, I'll try and lump these together, guys, because it's 10 to midnight here.
Yeah.
So I'll try and sort of pop these all together. We'll do them quite quickly. So the first one then is Tropic Thunder in 4K disc. This is a special release, I think, from Kino, Lorber, it might be Shout, one of the two. So this has just been released over there. It's not out here. I had to import it. The film's fun. I think, surely you guys have seen the movie.
Seen it. Yeah.
I doubt it would be made these days. But it's a fun film. And of course it should be for us, because there is a direct conversation about HD, DVD and Blu-ray in it.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting for us. So film's good as ever. The 4K disc is exceptionally good.
Really?
This movie could have been shot for 4K HDR. It looks phenomenal in 4K. And I don't know if it's out in Kaleidescape Age, but if it's not, this
Just
is
get
well
the
worth
disc.
picking up if you like the film. Get it. It's great. It's only in DTS-HD, so you upgrade, mix it, but the sound mix is the same as the Blu-ray, which is good. It's very, very nice. But the real quality here is the new transfer. It looks exceptional. The HDR really pulls out, the greens, the explosions, the 4K. Then the detail and the close-ups and the faces is absolutely amazing. So this is a really nice remaster and well worth picking up. So I couldn't recommend that highly enough if you like the movie, and I think most people do.
Yeah.
So that's that one. So then, right. So the next one is Smile. John, okay, now,
Smile.
Yeah, now I know you didn't like it,
No.
and I know I said to you, based on that, then I would rent it first. I wouldn't buy it, which makes me feel bad because I bought it. Because I like to be a man of my word, and unfortunately I wasn't. And I brought it as a blind buy, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go.
Not a blind buy. You bought it as I got a bad review buy.
Yeah, well,
you weren't blind.
Yeah, but it's blind for him because he hasn't seen it.
Yeah, so I bought it with a sense of uncertainty and dread.
Right.
I have to say, I thought it was great.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
I've heard a lot of people liked it. I've heard other people didn't.
I've heard a lot of people.
I've heard other
liked it.
people were like, "What the hell?" But yeah.
It's a film that just creeps up or crept up on me anyway. You know, I thought the sound design was really well done. You've got this kind of floating score that moves around the room. You know, you've got a really nice kind of image quality to it. And I thought the story was actually quite unsettling. It was one or two times during this when I wanted to just, spoiler free, there is at some point a character is told to look behind them. And I wanted to grab the camera, you know, grab the frame and turn it round. You know, I really felt that kind of that I need to see what this is. What is it? What is it? I really enjoyed this. It was way better than I had kind of expected it to be. This was really, really good. But equally, I can get how you could watch it and think, what a load of nonsense. But I got swept up in this really quickly and let this thing unfold. And I thought it was, you know, it was nasty when it needed to be nasty. It was gory when it needed to be gory.
Oh, it was that.
Generally upsetting. Yeah, and it's unsettling. A couple of times again, I had goosebumps. I was genuinely thinking, what is going to happen? So I really enjoyed it. And but again, it's horror. It's my wheelhouse. I get that.
It is. Now, and again, I streamed it, so I didn't have the disc. You know, I didn't have that. And I thought it felt, like I said, I thought the beginning of the movie was very unsettling. I just thought it really fell apart, you know, for me. But again, that's me. But it was super creepy. Like it was, and it really was like stressful and tense. But then to me, it just became run of the mill horror. I don't know. Like it fell apart for me. But
and I can see that. I completely get that. But I just again, I don't know how good the stream would have been compared to the disc. But the disc is in Atmos and it's 4K HDR.
Right.
And as I say, that score floats. You know, moves around the room. It almost has a life of its own. Plus, lots of little sound cues and little movements in the speakers, which just adds to that sense of kind of uncertainty and unease. Which I thought was really effective. It's the sort of film that I'm so glad I saw.
Which Steve loves.
I do. But
he
that's
does.
why I watch these certain films. But also, it's one of the things about home cinema that the theatre just cannot, in my experience, replicate very well. You know, people say, see it in a big room with a big crowd, it'll be amazing. Not these sorts of films. I personally think these are movies to be seen in the dark, with
alone,
a big screen,
or
on your own, or with a significant other, but
Right.
just with you, the screen, the sound, and nothing else to distract you. And I think other people reacting would take you out of the film, and you could get people laughing at this, and then that would be the end of that. That spell is broken like that. But
well,
these
and I don't feel like you get that sense of dread with 300 people. You know what I mean?
That's it.
You know, you just don't get scared.
point.
Not that you get scared, but I mean, you just don't get tense or uptight with 30, 40, 50 people around you, you know.
Indeed.
There's safety in
creep up the
numbers.
spine.
You know?
Indeed,
So-
well, that little creep up the spine, you know, that
Right.
engagement with the story is something that I get much more in my cinema than I would ever get in a theatre, you know, in a big auditorium. Because again, you've got people coming in and going out to the toilet. You've got people bloody munching away, and that spell is broken. But in this environment that I saw it just weaved its spell on me. I thought it was really good. One of the best horror movies of last year for me, just in terms of sheer kind of wasn't expecting it, and just from minute one was like, wow, this is something, you know, unusual. But as I said, I completely get that you could watch it and get a completely different experience from a different, you know, frame of reference, if you see what I mean. But for horror movies, my wheelhouse, I thought it was great. And certainly anyone watching it, stream it, however you do it, but you know, give it a watch and see what you think. Okay.
Well, I'm glad you bought it.
Yeah, well, quite.
And didn't rent it.
No, indeed, it is one I'm going to see again and again. I think I genuinely will put this out and see it again. So, which leads us last, but as I said, very much least, to Highlander. So, the story so far, very briefly. We talked obviously recently about how this is a movie that I've never quite got on board with. I've never owned it before. I've seen it, not for a long time, but I've seen it, and never quite understood with the love for it, the reverence for this film. Interestingly, having bought this, I then went on IMDb, and it's got a 24 rating out of 100.
So it's not as highly regarded as...
No.
No,
which
it's got
was
a pretty
surprise
much
to
a
me.
big cult following, no label.
It does.
Well, that's it. So anyway, so I watched it last week. Yeah, I think it was a few days ago. And unfortunately, it's not good. and it hasn't aged well. And I remember it being quite campy back in the 80s or whenever it was it came out, and that has not aged well. It was okay. Is probably about as far as I could do it. I got through it. I managed to finish it, and I'll keep it in the collection just about. But it's not a good film.
I haven't seen it in probably 15 years, but I do remember I liked it. You know,
yeah. Have you watched it again
in that
recently,
day?
Teej?
No.
Yeah.
No, but
in that day and time, I did like it, but
you know what this reminds me of, John?
What's that?
Remember when we did Conan?
Yeah, which we both remembered really liking, but then didn't really like it so much last year.
I can't even watch. It's unwatchable.
And I can
for me
see
now.
Highlander being that
Like
also.
that, yeah.
Like I could definitely see that. I haven't purchased it yet, but I will. But I am going to buy the 4K disc and watch it. But I may end up feeling the same way because some of them don't age well. Like I said, Conan was not great. You know,
we talked
really
that up when we
not.
did that on chat. We featured Conan the Barbarian from what was that 70, 80 or something like that.
80,
81, 79. It was right. Yeah.
And we talked that we couldn't wait to do it. And we were like, oh, when I was a kid, I loved this movie. We watched it on HBO when we were kids. We were like,
and I remember watching it and I wasn't supposed to watch it because I wasn't, I was only like 10 or 11.
And now, because of the podcast, we were supposed to watch it, and we were like, what the hell? And we just laughed through the entire time, like the two of us talking about it. Like that end scene, the whole part with James Earl Jones and the transformation, which I was like, I could do a better transformation from an orange to an apple in my kitchen with an iPhone. I'm like, come on, people. It's like
there are a lot of effects issues with this, but including
that's what we're picturing.
Wires. Yeah, there are wires that are still there. You know, the the end where she's holding onto the sign. You can clearly see two wires holding her to the sign.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're not even. We're not talking in a.
They didn't even try to hide them.
Right.
But that's not. The whole thing. I mean, the acting is wooden as you like. Apparently, according to the IMDb afterwards, because again, I thought I'd look this up. Sean Connery spent 3 months with a language coach learning how to speak with a Spanish accent. Did he hell?
Yeah.
Did he hell?
He didn't learn very well, did he?
All I can think of is that she must have been very attractive, and they spent 3 months learning some sort of other language.
French.
It wasn't an accent. Yeah. So, but no, I'll keep it in the collection, but it's a close run thing. It's nearly up in the attic with Midway, but not quite. So it's it's just not for me. But there we go.
There we go.
And on that note,
on that bombshell, I know what that's from.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So so that's my lot for this last 2 weeks.
A lot too.
It's really 3 weeks. Yeah. But we had 3 weeks. That's why.
I know 3 weeks. And to be fair, we're counting down at about 3:20 right now on the ticker over here, which some of it gets cropped off, but that's not too bad, guys.
No.
Just over 3 hours for 3 weeks of content and all the listener comments. I think we did a pretty good job.
We'll pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah, exactly. We got to do a little bit of that, We got some. Thank you to everybody in the chat. We had a lot of interaction today. People talking. We got thank you, Theo. He likes the Witcher. Theo and BJ both like The Witcher. Now, do they know we're talking about? No. Wait, here's the question
Witcher
though.
Blood Origin. Yeah.
Blood Origin, the new one, because I love the series, season 1, 2. John, I watched season 1 twice because once I got the map. I had but
I'm talking about the new Blood Origin.
New Blood Origin, that one. But Theo, VJ, Van Gool is in there. Magic Lakes, Brockstar. I can't even scroll from here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we got Carl's in there. I know Mike Schramm was back in here. There's so many people. I'm trying to be more interactive, but we had a lot to get to today. So, thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you for on the chat. Thank you for watching, listening, all of that fun stuff. Rate, review, subscribe, mash that like button, John, right?
That's right.
Um,
Took my line.
I'm sorry. It's been a long
He
day.
stole my line.
All right. Any other lines, boys, or is that it?
Go push play.
There we go. That's right. How do we say that in Spanish, Steve?
Te vas a empujar el botón jugar.
And we're out of here.
All right.
Okay, let me go back here. Boom. There we go. Back to the green room.
Okay, guys. I'm going to get
I know
moving
it's
now,
late
guys,
for you.
'cause it's just after midnight. Yeah, and whilst we've been talking, I've had an email from my boss to say I'm in court at 9 a.m.
Now you're on call.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not on call, but he is on call, and he sent me a message. So if during one of those, you might have seen me sort of typing, because the boss has just sent me this thing saying, because you are going to be in court in the morning. So I've literally got 9 hours, and I'll be at court.
Right.
So so sorry about that, guys. So I'll
bug out.
That's awesome.
Get shifting.
No, thanks for being
but,
here.
Thanks again,
We'll
guys.
talk
Good
soon.
fun again,
Thanks.
as always. Yeah.
Later,
See
buddy.
you guys. Bye-bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.
I know. I feel his pain. My phone, I'm up to 19 texts, 19 emails, 15 tweets, I don't know, alerts. How long do you think? Oh, boy. Yeah. And I'm starving.
Yeah. Me too. I think my wife's already cooking. I think she just
Yeah,
decided she was going to go
is
start
mine.
cooking.
Yeah. I just said, I want chicken. So, but, oh, man. We've come a long way, John.
Yeah, we have.
This is really advanced.
It has, actually.
I know.
From where we started.
Yeah. Started in that. Ugh. When we were afraid to talk.
Yeah, that's gone.
That's. Well, we were never afraid to talk to each other.
Well,
we were
that's
afraid
true.
to record it.
To record.
It's like, I don't think we were ever afraid to talk to each other. But
No.
all right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, I
Go
gotta
have
run
some
too.
dinner. Save some content for next week.
Yeah. Well, and the bathroom's calling me. So.
There you go.
All right, man.
All right, I'll talk to you later, buddy.
Yeah.
Later, everybody. Bye.